Hello, I'm Jackie, and this is my mother, Ruth. Ruth Eunice.
Hello.
Ruth Eunice Dravitz Chapnik.
How did you know I know? Did you always know it?
Okay.
How did you know?
We're here to do the family history. On Ruthie's side, we're going to do Ruthie first, then we're going to do Louie, and then the day of today. I don't know, what is today's date? It's the 18th, 19th of February, 1986. And we're going to do Louie next, and then we'll have them both together. Okay, Ruthie, we're going to start with your family tree.
All right, I will try to help you.
Okay. Your father was Saul
Right.
Dravitz,
Dravitz.
and his parents were...
Gertrude and Noah Dravitz.
Okay. Now they had, how many children did they have?
They had, is this recording? Can we start all over?
No.
They had Sam, Abraham, Saul, Louis, they were the boys, and the two girls, Ethel and Ruth.
Okay. Now let's go through each one of them and say who they married or what happened to them and their children. Let's start with Ruth.
Ruth was the younger one.
Okay.
She married Louis Shaw,
Okay.
and they had two children,
Okay.
Alfred and Trudy.
Okay. Ethel.
Ethel married Uncle High Breslau, and they had one child, Max.
Okay. And Louis.
Louis married Aunt Eva, and they had two children, Judy and Marilyn.
Okay. And Sam.
Sam, I don't know who he was married to, but he had a child, Sydney.
Okay. And Abraham.
Abraham was married to Aunt Kitty, and they had two children, Miriam and Sam.
Okay. Let's just go on further down the... Okay, and of course Saul had you and...
He married Betsy.
Betsy.
And had Milton and Ruth.
Okay.
Middle name unknown.
Let's just go through quickly and go through the next generation children, then we'll
All
go
right.
back to history. Okay.
Okay.
So, Alfred is deceased. Okay.
And had one child. He married Blake, and his daughter's name is Rebecca.
Do we know her?
No?
I never heard her. Okay, and Trudy.
Married Ed Perlman, and they have two children, Andrea and Louis.
Right. Okay, and Maxie.
Maxie was married to Estelle, and they had three children, Robert, Jill, and Wendy. When Estelle died, Max married Nikki Breslau, and they had two children, Howard and Ellen.
Okay. And, let's see, now where are we? Judy and Marilyn.
Judy died age 20. Marilyn married Louis Eisenberg and had three children, Michael, Judy, and Elizabeth.
Okay. Sydney. Oops. Yeah, okay, Sydney. From Sam.
Sydney has two children somewhere. I think he was adopted by
Oh.
someone. His mother remarried when his father died.
Oh.
And he took his stepfather's name. But when he came here to find his relatives, he went by the name of Dravich.
Oh.
So he has two children, and we have no idea what their names are or where they're living with their mother.
Miriam and Sam.
Miriam married briefly. His name was Margoli.
And kids?
No, that petered out. And Sam and Dora have Lanny and
Whose real name is?
No.
I can't get that in.
And Susan.
Okay. Should we go further or no?
You want to know what has happened to the children? We know Alfred is dead.
Yeah.
Judy, as I said, died at a young age.
Right.
Marilyn died almost 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. And we know all their kids. Should we go
Yeah.
through all them too?
Well,
What they're
Max
doing?
lost
Yeah.
one
Let's go through that.
child.
Was that Jill or Wendy?
Wendy. Jill is a lawyer, California.
Okay.
Robert works for Purdue.
Oh,
And
really?
will be married March 1st.
Oh, and that's
Yes,
where
they're
you're
going
going.
to the wedding in Boston.
Oh, neat. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back and just talk about Noah and Gertrude. When did now they came from
Russia.
From Russia.
Russia.
And when do you know what year they came?
No, no, unless the pictures will say at the beginning, the album. Yeah. No, we have no date, but my grandfather Noah was naturalized on.
You want to turn this over? This is-
No,
No?
on November 9, 1900.
8, I think.
Well, yeah, it's an 8, yeah.
Okay.
At 9.
So when
So
they
they probably came in the late,
Say 6 years before that, right?
well, I think even before that, because my grandfather came and then sent for my grandmother and the children.
so he came first and
He
established.
came first and established himself.
And
then
his
sent
business was
had a shoe store.
in
Did he made the shoes or he?
No, he sold
Sold
shoes.
shoes.
in East Boston.
In East Boston.
Okay. Well, did you know him growing up?
Yes, when I was a little girl. He lived in Chelsea.
Oh, really?
Yes, I used to, I don't remember him when he lived in East Boston, but
Uh-huh.
I remember in Chelsea. We used to go visiting. We used to walk over from East Boston
To
to
walk to
Chelsea.
Chelsea?
Yes, we used to walk.
Huh. Do you remember when he died?
I remember as a little girl going into the house in Chelsea and seeing 2 coffins on the floor. This was the custom. The coffins, the dead people actually were in the coffin, all covered in black, and they were buried from the house. That's all I remember. That is my very vivid memory.
And here's an article that we have
Yes.
over here.
Yes, we were very shocked because we had just thought that the grandmother had died because she had been sick for many years with heart problems, but they both died at the same time.
So what
And
happened?
had a
He
double-
died, and she.
And she seeing him dead, had a heart attack and
too.
died. Yes.
Okay. Now, what did your father do for a living?
insurance when I was a little girl.
He sold insurance, or?
Yes. We lived in North Adams, Massachusetts.
You did?
Oh, yes. Yes, I lived in North Adams. When I was a little girl. Right. And then my father worked with Uncle Louis Shore, who had a printing shop. And my father did advertising, things of that nature. In connection with printing, got orders, so forth.
Okay, did Nana work?
Yes, Nana worked in Feline,
Uh-huh.
and then in Guilford.
So she worked all the time when you were little? Or did she stay home?
No, she worked, and my grandmother was home. Yeah.
Oh, so your grandmother stayed with you?
Well, she didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Do you know how they met, your parents?
They must have met in East Boston. They both
Mhm.
lived there.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knew each other. Small town.
Did, I don't see any wedding pictures of them. Did you ever have any, I mean, you ever talk about that with them? Your wedding, or?
Nana had a cedar chest full of pictures. When we moved from East Boston to Chelsea, the pictures disappeared. All of when Nana was a girl and my father, all these nice pictures, all gone.
Yeah, 'cause we had
in sepia. That was the color of
Hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
pictures. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
And the wedding gown, Nana threw away. I used to play with them.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we had that for many years. It was a very interesting flapper type, short up to the
Uh-huh.
knees.
Okay. What else do we need to talk about?
Start going back
Okay.
on the other side of
Okay.
it.
So Nana.
Nana's
Bessie.
parents, yeah.
Okay. What were her parents' names?
Dora and I think I don't know what her father's first name was,
Okay,
but his last name was Shabosky.
Shabbat, how do you spell that?
Shebossky.
Okay. So Dora and Mr. Shabosky had how many kids? Bessie.
Bessie, Sam, and Mary.
And so Bessie's name was Bessie. Is that right?
Bessie's name was Bessie. Yes.
We know Elizabeth.
No.
Okay. And so Sam had who? Or Mary
Sam.
or what?
Sam took his grandparents' name of Kaplan.
His grandparents'
Parents'
name.
Yes, his mother, my grandmother Dora, remarried Mr. Hoffman,
Okay.
and they had Phil.
Oh, lucky them.
So yeah, so how is Phil?
Sam.
So Phil is related to you how again?
He's my uncle.
Okay.
He's my mother's brother.
Okay.
Well, I would assume
Step
you would
brother.
think, no, half brother.
Half brother.
Half brother. So Sam took the name of Kaplan, his grandparents,
Oh.
and Aunt Mary took the name of her grandparents, Kaplan.
Oh.
My mother, Bessie, took the name of Hoffman in school. She was known as Bessie Hoffman.
Oh.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, so Sam married who?
Sam married Pearl.
Oh boy, I didn't know Pearl.
Yes, you did.
I know. I said I know Pearl.
And they had
Pearl.
one son, Robert.
Yeah. Okay, and Bessie married Saul,
Trevich.
and then Mary married
Uncle
Uncle
Hyde.
Hyde,
And they had one child, Phyllis.
Okay. Now, Phyllis has John
And Douglas.
and Douglas
Shineman.
Scheinman, and Bobby married Barbara,
Barbara.
and they have 3. Four.
Four children. They have Cindy, they have Joel, Jeffrey, and Barry.
Okay. And of course, Ruth has these two wonderful daughters.
We don't mention Milton. We don't
wonderful
mention
daughters.
that Ruth has a brother Milton.
And Ruth has a brother Milton.
And
we
two
have
wonderful daughters, Jacqueline and Suzanne. Or Suzanne and Jacqueline.
Yes. And then Milty has
Four children. Arthur, Saul, Sharon, and Gary. Saul is married to Maria.
And who's your daughters married to?
And Ruth's daughters are married
Get in
to
here.
Kevin and Taranti and David Coon.
Okay.
We don't say that Ruth is married. Do we say that Ruth is married to
Ruth's
Louis
married
Chapnik?
to
Her
Louis.
first husband is Louis Chapnik.
Okay, so
Need to go back on.
now we'll go back.
Yeah.
Now we'll go back and Dora and Mr. Shabovsky. Now where are they from?
Russia.
Dora came from
Or
Russia.
Lithuania, or which probably was part of Russia at the time.
Okay.
Went back and forth.
Okay. They both came from there.
They both did.
Dora and her husband.
Her first husband. Yes, he
Shabovsky.
died there. I don't
He
know
died
of what. Yeah.
So how did she come over?
Her parents, Celia
Oh, we can go back that
and
far.
Peter
Kaplan.
Kaplan,
They came
were
over.
in this country.
Oh.
And they brought Dora over. She was the last of their children to come to this country.
Well, how many children did Celia have? Dora.
Celia had Dora, who was the oldest. Then she had Mamie. Then she had Aunt Ida, Aunt Annie, and Rose.
Oh, okay. Ida, Mamie. I missed one.
Annie.
Annie. Okay,
And
now.
is Jackie's middle
just
name
a moment.
from
no,
her?
she had another child, another daughter, a sixth daughter, Lily.
Lily.
I never knew Lily. Lily had an appendectomy and died suddenly of a blood clot.
Oh. Okay, well, we might as well go through these. Now, Rose, that's who my middle name is named after.
Right.
And how many kids, does she have any
Rose
kids?
never married.
Okay. What about Ida?
Ida had 3 children.
Uh-huh.
She had Abe. Just a moment. Ida married Uncle Sam,
Oh.
Uncle Sam Goldman. And they had 3 children, Abe, Edith, and Natalie.
I know all them. Okay. And, now Mamie.
Married 5 times.
No, really?
Whoa.
Yes.
Auntie Mame.
Yeah.
Yes. She was an Auntie Mame. I have to say
Hot
that.
stuff, huh?
Really, really. Her first husband was a Mr. Alford. I didn't know him. He was a wealthy man. He wasn't lively enough for her. So she divorced him, and she married a lawyer who was very weird. And he wrote a book called Man vs. Ape. He did. I wish I had a copy of that.
I'm sure you could find some somewhere.
Then she divorced him and she married Mr. Kirsch. She divorced him and she married someone else. I don't remember his name. Then she went into the Hebrew home for the aged. And she was in her 80s at this time. And she married another man, and he outlived her and inherited her money.
Well, did she have any kids?
No, she had no children.
Okay.
Oh, the lawyer's name was Philip Rich. Very peculiar man. I can remember him.
Huh. And Annie.
Annie married Bob Siegel, and they had 3 children. Ruth Silverman, Natalie,
Natalie. We don't know.
Natalie Robinson, and Sidney Siegel.
Okay, and Ruth, of course, married Dave.
Silverman.
Dave Silverman. And they have, what's his name? Paul, who married
Teresa, and they have Miranda.
Miranda. Okay. Whoa, we got this straight. Okay, now do we go back, we're talking about,
In Russia, you're talking about the
Oh,
shuttles and the pogroms and what caused
Yeah.
them to come to the country.
who lived in the shuttle?
They did. They lived in a shtetl.
Shtetl.
Yes. Most, they called it. Most.
What's that mean?
That's the name of this little shtetl. And this is since heard this is a Russian word which was right near some place called Grodny Guberniyy. I don't know where this is. I have no idea what part of Russia this is.
Mm-hmm.
But probably means village of.
So how did they come over here? In what vehicle? I mean, they didn't fly
Vehicle?
over here.
No.
Tell us
They
about
came
that.
steerage. Underneath. They took their food, they took their candlesticks, their samovars, they took their bedding,
Uh-huh.
and they
You
came,
think
and
it was
it
just like
took,
packed,
they were just packed.
packed in there?
Yes, packed, absolutely. And,
And these are the 2 candlesticks that came from Russia.
yes, these are my great-grandmother Celia's candlesticks.
And why would they take candlesticks?
Because candlesticks, a woman lights candlesticks on Friday night, and these are the most precious possessions that a woman has, her candlestick.
Didn't know that.
Now my great-grandmother, when I was a little girl,
You knew her?
oh, definitely I knew my great-grandmother. We played casino.
Oh, really?
Every day we played casino, and
I love
rumor has it
casino.
that she cheated because she always wanted to win. And every day when I went to school, I had to kiss my grandmother, my mother, and then walk downstairs. This was a 2-family house, and kiss my great-grandmother every morning and say goodbye. And I went to school. And my great-grandmother was a very, very beautiful woman who was very much not like her daughter Dora, my grandmother. Very religious woman, very quiet, unassuming. My great-grandmother wore a beautiful fur coat and loved going to the movies and shows. She was a very remarkable woman,
Did
very
you have an
modern.
accent?
Oh, I would assume that she spoke broken
Broken
English,
English.
yes.
How old was she when she died?
She was quite old, because I remember her.
Yeah.
And my great-grandfather, her husband, was a coal merchant, so they had some money. And they had this 2-family house, and they had 4 stores attached to this house.
That was in East Boston?
In East Boston.
So when did you move away from East Boston?
We moved away from East Boston when they built another road to the airport. They took the house and we moved to Chapnik. Yeah, I had graduated high school. So.
And when were you in North Adams?
When I was a little girl.
When you were little.
2 years old. There are pictures in one of the albums from North Adams. I'll show you.
So now we were
Ruthie's childhood.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well, who were your girlfriends?
My girlfriend, I had a friend Eva who lived a few doors away from me. And to this day, I still talk to her. Shirley Adelman, I with her. Helen Ellis, people I still know to this day. These were my friends.
And what about Milty? Were you friends? I mean, did you hang out with him at all?
No.
What was he? What's the age difference? When were you born? When was he born?
Oh, yeah. It's bad enough you think you know my middle name.
So how many years he's
Yeah.
younger than you?
God, no.
Older than
There
you.
is one person in this world who is older
How many
than
years
I
older
am,
than-
and my brother is at least 10 years older than
No,
I
he
am.
isn't. How old is he? How many?
Just because Uncle Milton looks rather young, it's his Parkinson's
Yeah.
that makes
Is
him
he
look
10 years
young.
older than you?
No, he's not 10
Oh,
years
how
old.
many years older?
2 years older.
Okay.
I mean, everyone in the world is younger than I am, except for Milton. And that I can guarantee.
Well, so you don't remember anything about school? Did you go? Did you
Oh,
go
I
to
was
a-
very
a-
smart.
just a regular public school?
First I went to a grammar school. That was the James Otis.
Uh-huh.
Then I went from grammar school, I think I went 2 years to the U.S. Grant School. Then I went to junior high school, which was the Bond School. Then I went to East Boston High School.
What kind of grades did you get in grade school? You got good grades, or junior high and everything?
Did you ever go to Hebrew school?
Oh, definitely. Since I was a very little child, I went to Hebrew
No,
school.
you really?
Oh, I swear.
You did? What
Sure.
happened?
Till when? Hebrew school started? I mean, when you were how old, and when did you stop going?
Oh, I probably started Hebrew school maybe when I was 6 years old. And then, of course, you know, I imagine that I stopped.
They didn't have bat mitzvahs
No.
then. And you had a kosher house.
Yeah.
And what other things did you do? Did you have to could you turn the lights on and stuff?
No, not on Saturday.
Yeah, just describe
had-
the general religious
We had a little
upbringing.
night light that burned all night on Saturday. And as I was growing up, we had a little boy would come in and light the fire so that we could heat the food.
You heat the food over the fire?
Well, you know, we would not put the gas on.
Oh.
So this little boy would do this.
And why would he do that?
Because a Jew didn't do that.
You could not
So-
do any work at all,
No,
correct?
You couldn't read?
no.
What did
You
you
could do nothing, but I was able to go do things. I mean, this was my grandmother did nothing, but my mother would leave me 10 cents every Saturday, and I went to the movies every Saturday afternoon.
Really?
I went to the movies.
So did your parents, were they extremely religious, or?
No, just my grandmother.
Just your grandmother?
But when you lived in the house, you just, you know, did this, and this is why to this day I go to bed early. Because she went to bed early, so we all went to bed early. You know, television, we listened to the radio.
What did you learn in Hebrew school? What was the?
We learned how to speak Hebrew. We learned Hebrew letters and characters.
Well, how come you never went to synagogue or anything on the high holidays?
I did when I was young.
But I mean, when you got older.
Don't do that anymore.
Why?
That's not.
Why?
There's no preference.
Okay. And I never remember you going. I always went
No.
with Nana,
Yeah.
and you never went. So now I don't have to go. Because Ruthie never went.
your preference to go, you would have gone.
Okay. Well, so you, anything high school? Vacations, did you ever go on vacations with your family? Away?
When I was a teenager, I went to Old Orchard Beach with my mother. Does that count?
Sure.
Sure. Well, now, when did you start dating?
Well, when I was about 9 years old, this boy grabbed me on the street and kissed me, and I hated boys from then on. I was very embarrassed, really.
Well, so, who was the first guy you ever went out with on a date? Did you go on dates, or?
We would have gatherings. In those days, you didn't go out with one boy. All your girlfriends would get together in a house, and a boy would bring down all these boys, and you would dance and hate them all, whatever.
Would you stand on one side and the boys on the other?
No, we used to talk. So basically, that's the way things were. You know, so one was in high school, and then it was this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you date in high school?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did they have senior proms? Did you go to proms and stuff?
Was the high
I
school
never went to
predominantly Jewish, or was
No, by that time, there were very few Jews, but
it, what was it, mainly Italian, or?
Italian.
What was your first job?
Well, you didn't ask if I went to business school.
Oh.
Yeah, what happened when you graduated
Yeah,
from high
when
school?
you.
I went to business school.
How
I went
many
to
years?
Hickok Secretarial
Right.
School.
Huh. In Boston? Or?
Yeah, 6 months.
And then what'd you do?
I went to work.
Where?
For a lawyer.
And what'd you do? You secretary?
Secretary.
And then what'd you do?
And I went to work for another lawyer and made more money.
Yeah, then what'd you do?
I started off, I was making $16 a week.
Mhm.
Big money. That was the minimum wage they had to pay us.
Oh.
Then I went to work for another lawyer, and I think I got a raise, probably about 20. Then I went to work for an accountant. And then I went to work for an advertising.
And what did you do there?
I was a secretary, and then I was promoted to traffic manager.
And what did you do?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Scheduling all the work, making sure everything, all the ads got out, the radio spots were ready.
How much did you
Signing
make?
all the work. I ended with $75 a week.
Was that good, bad, high,
This
low,
was
medium?
good.
Good.
This was, Jackie, how
What?
many years ago? Susie is 30 years
Uh-huh.
old. So this is
56.
30 years ago.
Mhm.
You kept working even when you married?
Yes, until Susie was born.
Were you living at home while you were working,
I
or
was-
between high school and?
Oh, yes, I lived at home, yes.
whole time?
No, you didn't move out. Girls stayed with their mothers until they married.
Is that right?
Unless they went to college, and not too many girls of my age went to college.
So all your money went to clothes?
Yes, I had nice clothes.
Did Nana get discounts?
Yes, Nana got discounts, and I got some sales. Yeah, Uncle Louie would say, "You need new shoes?" Okay. And he would say, "There's a sale on," and he would say to, he was a buyer in Celine's, and he would say to one of his salesmen, "Okay, give her these very expensive shoes, charge her the sale price."
Yes, you get the
Yeah.
shoes.
I always wore beautiful, beautiful clothes
Uh-huh.
because of that.
I know, I wish I had more of them. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them I would wear
Yes,
today.
yes, I always wore beautiful clothes, spent a lot of money. Yes.
When did you meet Isabel?
Isabel, I met Isabel when I moved to Chelsea and started riding the bus. to
She
work.
lives in Chelsea?
She lives in Chelsea. I met her on there was a group of girls and we all went to work together. I didn't know them because I didn't come from Chelsea, but became acquainted and became friendly.
What about your artwork, your painting? When did you stop painting?
All my life, I've been
Dave, you
doing
need to
artwork.
spin that around and show that picture over there.
Okay. Keep talking. I'll turn the light on.
So you painted, and when did you stop painting?
When I got married.
Were you ever encouraged to do this as a living, or
No.
you did it as a hobby?
As a hobby. I didn't realize my real talent when I was
Do you wish that you had kept it up?
I wish I had known enough to go to school and become an interior decorator. That is what I could do best.
Okay, we're gonna spin around and show one of the pictures.
I could tell you about Uncle Milton's father. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, well, there's one really very significant event that we haven't heard about, and that's Uncle Milton's bar mitzvah. What about it?
Uncle Milton was very short at the time, and I was much taller than Milton. When he had his bar mitzvah, he had to stand on a little stool to reach the Torah. Then we went back for the reception at our house in East Boston, and I remember a long table set up in the dining room. And I became so upset because he got all the presents and I had a tantrum, and I cried
No, really?
hysterically. Oh, yes.
But you didn't get anything.
Because I got nothing. Yeah.
Well, back then they didn't have the bar mitzvah.
No, they didn't.
Well, did you ever get over that?
I don't think so.
Looking for a
I was a
picture, I know it.
feminist even then, resented
Do you resent the fact that they
every...
didn't have that thing for girls?
No, but I resented the fact that he got all the presents and I got nothing. This is not Adams right here.
Okay, here's Uncle Milty in his bar mitzvah. Good picture. Got it? Well, now, did you have to do, being a girl, did you have to do a lot of women's stuff? And Milty not do anything?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, what were
I
some of the chores you had to do?
I cooked. When I came home from school, once in a while I would make dinners. I washed floors. I washed the steps down every Friday. I polished furniture. And Milton did nothing. And I resented that
Did you have
terribly.
Or
No, only about radio programs. He wanted always to listen to the ball game, and I wanted to listen to the soap operas. So this is what, we had one radio at the time.
sound like me and Susie over channels. We used to fight over the TV. How come all kids do that?
Yeah.
Did he
But
ever?
otherwise, we got along because Milton was very good-natured, always, and I was not. But he went along with his younger sister.
Yeah. What about, well, when you were out in the working world, did you date a lot?
Once in a while. But I went on a lot of trips. I used to go on vacations with my girls.
Oh, really? Where?
By myself without my mother.
Where?
Oh, we used to go someplace one week during the summer.
Like where?
I've gone to resorts in upstate New York, New Hampshire, places in Massachusetts. I remember having a very nice time with Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
But I went
What was your father like? Was he a quiet, a dominating man, or?
No, my father loved one thing in this world, me.
When you were a daddy's little girl?
He loved me with absolute devotion.
Really?
Yeah. I think, because I was cute. And Uncle Milton was so sickly. He had food allergies, causing him to erupt with this awful eczema and bad skin and constantly sick. At that time, people didn't realize that he was allergic to milk.
Oh.
And my mother was constantly taking him to the doctor
Uh-huh.
for treatment. And I was a well child.
You say he started out in insurance, and what did he do later?
Advertising.
Yeah, with Uncle, yeah, I'm from Uncle Louis, sure.
And what about Nana? Bessie. Tell everybody about Bessie.
What
was she like?
Well, you know what she was like.
Yeah, but you have to tell everybody.
She was
else.
good.
Did you ever have-
Very capable
Did
woman.
you ever have mother and daughter fights?
Yes, yes, because she was good and I wasn't. Yeah,
When you say
I
good, what do you
have
mean?
quite a disposition. Oh, I mean, I never did any wild things, quite conventional. Quite a temper. I've mellowed.
Good nature.
I've mellowed completely, and my mother was always good. Always.
Where do you think you got that from?
Maybe my French background.
They're all like that.
Excitable,
Yeah.
loud, noisy. Perhaps. I don't know. Circumstances make you what you are. You don't know why your disposition is certain nature.
Do you have a favorite childhood story or memory?
All of temper and aggravation and crying.
Would you characterize it as a happy childhood overall, or?
Wasn't a happy child. Wasn't a sweet person. Oh, I don't think so I had a lot of friends, and we would walk to Chelsea to look at boys. Always we walked Meridian Street over the bridge, right into Chelsea, and looked around for these guys. And in the summertime, went to East Boston. Or no, in East Boston, we went to Wood Island Park, which was just beautiful. It is now Logan International Airport.
No, really?
Oh, yes. I lived on Paris Street, which was the road, if you just walked for perhaps a mile, you would land in Logan Airport. Just straight. And little by little, all this land was taken over the Logan Airport. But Wood Island Park was beautiful. It was gorgeous beaches, beautiful, oh, it was just magnificent. And it's gone now. They're very happy memories of summers spent there with my girlfriends. I mean, I had a lot of freedom. On Saturdays, I would visit my mother in Feline. Used to go upstairs to the employees'
Did you go
restaurant.
by yourself to Boston?
I went by myself, yes. That's why I let you go at such a young
Right.
age. And my mother would give me 15 cents, and I would go across the street to the Lowe's Orpheum and go to the movies before 1 o'clock. So, I mean, there were a lot of good memories. Remember.
Okay, I think that's it. We're going to wrap it up now and move to Louie, and then we'll see Ruthie again when they get together and talk about how they met. See you then. Okay, here we are with Louie Chapnik, and we're going to do his family history and talk a little bit with him. Okay, Louis, your father, his name was
Charles.
Charles Chapnik.
Charles Chapman.
And how many brothers and sisters did he have?
My father had two brothers and one sister.
What were their names?
Their names, one was Eli Chapnik,
Uh-huh.
the other one was Leon Chapnik,
Okay.
and a third one, and the girl was Simon Chapnik.
Okay. Now, let's go through and say who married who. Now, Simone, did she ever marry?
Simon married, I don't remember where, if she married in Poland, or I think she married in Poland. She married the man, then they went to Argentina.
Uh-huh. And do they have any kids?
They have two children,
What are their
a
names?
boy, I don't know their names. I know they have a boy and a girl, one now residing in Israel.
Oh. Okay. And Leon,
Leon was his youngest brother. My father was in the middle.
Uh-huh.
Eli was the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
My father was in the middle, and Leon was the youngest.
Okay.
Now Leon, you asked me about
Yeah.
Leon.
Who did he
Leon,
marry?
Leon came and lived in Belgium with us, and he married a woman called Clara. I don't remember her second name.
Yeah.
And they have two children.
Do you know them?
Yes, one is Jacques.
Okay.
Yeah. We just have the picture, and the other, the girl is called Simone.
Boy, lots of Simons in there.
Yeah, Simone
Okay, and now so
Eli.
Eli. Okay, now let's talk about Jacques. He's married to. Do you know her name?
Oh, what's her name? We
No.
just got the picture.
And they have two kids.
They have two children, Lionel and I'm preparing myself and I don't know.
That's all right. Okay. Now, so Leon had two kids, Jacques and.
Simone.
And so what happened to Simon?
Simone is married.
Where does she live?
She lives in Brussels.
In Brussels.
She lives in Brussels.
Okay.
And Jacques lives in Antwerp.
Now, Eli, what did he?
Eli married in 1939 and came to the United States in 1939. Married second name, and they have one son. Oscar.
And then your dad married.
That's right. My dad left Poland in 1920, I believe, 1920, and he went to Berlin because the reason to go, people were leaving their hometown in those years is because it was after the war. The economic situation was very bad. Russians were also not too friendly to Jewish people, and most Jews tried to escape the persecution and fled the country. Poland. So my father left his hometown to Berlin, and as a young man, 1920. And there he worked as a tailor, and he met my mother.
And her name is?
Jane Rosenzweig.
Rosenzweig. How would you spell that?
Rosenzweig is Rosenzweig. Rosenzweig. And they married, I believe, in 1923 in Berlin. Now, my mother had also two brothers and one sister.
What were their names?
I really, I only know the name of two,
Okay.
because the third one was killed during the war, and I really
Okay.
forget. So she had two brothers. One was living in Paris.
Uh-huh.
One called Louis came to United States, and a sister called Gertrude.
Uh-huh.
She lived in Belgium.
Okay. Now, who did Gertrude marry?
Gertrude married in Belgium a man called Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham. I forget.
That's all right. Do they have any
Yes,
kids?
they have one girl.
Who?
Fanny.
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 Does she have any kids?
I
or
have
know
no.
whatever
We
happened to
just.
her?
I really don't know.
Okay. And what about Louis? He came to.
Also, oh, I forget to say now. There was one more brother on my mother's side.
Uh-huh.
Louis came to United States.
Okay.
Then
Where is he?
There's a. He died when I came to America.
Oh.
He made a paper for me.
Oh. Okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. I'll tell you how we found him.
Okay.
And she had also a brother who lived in Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and another brother, Bernard, who
Oh.
lived in Brussels.
Okay. And whatever happened
No,
to Bernard?
I know Bernard had two girls and one boy.
Uh-huh.
One boy was Jacques. One girl was Simone,
Another Simone,
Another
yeah.
and another one was Thérèse.
Uh-huh.
Thérèse. Jacques married, and actually I was in the United States, so we were never close,
Uh-huh.
because he lived in Brussels, we lived in a smaller town, and we just didn't have much in common.
Mm-hmm.
But Simone, I know because she used to come to visit us, so that's why I know more about her. Simone married in 1940 or 41, no children,
Mm-hmm.
and Thérèse married and moved to France,
Mm-hmm.
and has, I believe, 2 or 3 children. I already know.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all on that side.
Okay. So now let's go through. So your father moved to Berlin and met Jane.
Met Jane, married,
Married.
and joined my mother's brother in Paris.
Uh-huh.
That's the one I don't know his name, but I know but he has a son also called Jacques
Mm-hmm.
in Brussels. Maurice saw him, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah. So by coming to Paris, my mother and father settled in Paris, and their first child was born, Simon.
Mm-hmm.
A few years, the following year, I believe, yes, 1924 is Simon, 1925, my brother Jacques was born, and I believe the way my father was so slow, he never could get the suits on time. So what he used to go from one shop to the other, and he used to say, "Mr. Chapnik, if you cannot give me the suit on time, we don't need you." So he left Paris, and he decided to be on his own,
Uh-huh.
to be a day on his own, and he went to Amiens. That's where I was.
Louis.
In Amiens, and I don't know how many, I believe he stayed there 3 years in Amiens, started his own little shop, and it was 1927, 28, 29, Depression years. The situation was very bad. That's when my mother's brother, who was in Brussels, Bernard, wrote to him. He says, "Come to Brussels." He was very well established already.
Was he a tailor too?
He was a tailor.
Oh.
He was more of a my father was more of a worker,
Uh-huh.
while that Bernard was more of a businessman,
Mm-hmm.
tailor. He had a beautiful bookstore on one of the main streets in Brussels. It was already established. And it says, come to Brussels. And that's when they moved to Belgium.
Mhm.
They went to a town near Brussels called Schaerbeek, and that's where another child born, Anna. And I believe from a story of my mother, my father, they didn't get along, blah, blah. You know the story. And he says, no, I'm not going to, I believe that he worked maybe for him, and he didn't like it. Well, you know, I think my mother used to say little stories. My father said one side, she said another side. So they moved out from Brussels and went to Mons. Mons, Belgium. That's where my other brother, my last brother, was born, Maurice. And finally in Mons, it seems that we settled.
And he had his own shop?
And my father, no. My father never had a shop. We always worked in the house. In other words, if we had 6 rooms, we lived in 5. The 6th was his shop. All he needed is just a long table and a sewing machine. That's all he needed. He didn't need much. And
how did he get his business?
well, he used he started by going to, you see, he could speak Polish. And Belgium at that time, the southern part of Belgium had a lot of coal mines. And they imported workers. And many Poles, because Poland has a lot of mines in Poland. And they imported a lot of Polish miners who came under contract to work the mines near Mons. It's about 10 miles, 10, 15. We could take the streetcar. And we used to go and visit them and see, I don't know, maybe start with one, and one tells the other, because he couldn't speak too well French. But Polish he could. That was his language, it was his native language. So that's how he started by making suit to order to Polish coal miners. And gradually, a little bit at a time, he started with a local people who lived in Mons, started to know him. And that's how he never grew actually. He just, my father was a very poor businessman. And he struggled a lot. The reason is because he never learned how to cut. You see, he never learned how to cut the suit. In other words, when the suit was finished, he always was just take off a little bit here, take in a little bit there. Always the final touch. So all I remember is we were poor. We were poor. We were always neatly dressed, you know. We always had something to eat. Food was there. We would eat. Clothes on our backs, but not too much money in our pocket. And that's where we grew up in Mons. That's where we started kindergarten and first grade, second grade, and finished the 6th grade. Then I went to high school. And up to 1945 when I finished high school.
Okay. Let us go back a little bit. Did we get where your mother was from, like where she was born?
No, my mother also. Well, my mother was born about I would say about 100 miles south of Warsaw.
Oh, she was in Poland too.
She lived in Poland. Also left the town to Berlin.
To Berlin, and that's where they met.
That's where they met where she met my father. Yeah. Okay. She was a seamstress.
Oh.
She was a seamstress.
Did she work when you were little?
No, my mother never worked. No, with so many children. Actually, after all, by the time we reached Mons, she had 5.
Okay, where are we? Okay, so how did you get along with all your brothers and sisters?
We did. The reason is we seem to be one on top of each other, because I remember in as small we didn't have large rooms. No, if we sometimes we moved many times, you know, and if we had 5 rooms, my father took one that we lived in 3 rooms. And in those in Europe you don't live in a bedroom, you have no living room. So where do children stay? In a kitchen. And here we are 5 people in a kitchen. And we don't get, maybe we did get along, but it was always bickering. And who started this and who started, and he took my toy, and, you know, you took my toy, and it was constantly bickering and constantly fighting. I don't think I had a very a joyful childhood. It was just day to day, not struggle, but got up, and if you had a fight, you had a fight. I mean, there was nothing pleasant.
Yeah. You didn't pal around with
No,
anyone in
no,
particular
no,
in your family?
no. It seems that for my oldest brother, who was just 3 years older than I, didn't seem to bother with me. Then my youngest brother was 5 years younger than me, and to me he was a baby. So I had sisters in between, and it seemed that everyone seemed to have grow up by themselves, without too much I don't know, closeness to one another, because we were on top of each other and fighting constantly.
Did you what did you do for entertainment? Did you have radio and
Entertainment, as I recall, up to 1937, we had no entertainment at all. Because I remember in 1938, my father bought a radio, and radio was the only entertainment. As children, the only entertainment was to play cards. In the summertime, you play outside, of course. You have friends, school friends. As a little boy, my only friend was a girl.
No, really? Do you remember her name?
Yes, her name was Eva. How can I forget? I played with Eva for about 6 years.
Oh, yeah?
From I was 5 years old to about 11. She lived a little further on the street. She had a very big house, and her father was it was an internal revenue building, and in Belgium, if those buildings, it's not a concierge, but sometimes they give you the apartment. You live, you take care of the building, you open the building, you close the building. And that's the building that my friend lived. So, and I always remember, I used to play with her. She had other rabbits. She had rabbits. And she had rabbits, and she had brothers, and they were big, older than I. I was maybe 6, they were already 12. And when one of them, when he became 15, his father gave him a rifle.
Oh.
And we used to go on the roof and shoot birds.
No, really?
Shoot birds. And then when we had about 4 or 5 birds, he took his another brother, Eva, and I, and we used to go to a big field. And we used to call it the Pampas, like Mexico, the Pampas. And there was a big tree that you could climb. It seemed there was no way. You could sit, like it had a flat top. We would sit, climb the tree, and make a little fire and cook the birds.
Really? When you eat them?
Sure. Fry the birds. Flick the. Yeah.
Okay, so Eva was your friend. Now, what was school like? Did you enjoy school?
Yes, yeah, school I really enjoyed, because there's one thing I must say about my father. See, in Belgium you have public school and public school. You have poor one and better one. But my father always insisted that we should go to the better one. And in Belgium, the good part about it also was, if you had many children, they let you go almost for nothing. It was no tuition. The tuition was very small, but if you could prove that you couldn't afford, you go for nothing. So he enrolled us in this better school from 6 to 12. you know. It was a public school. And I really enjoyed it, yes.
You get good
was
grades?
Well, yeah. Well, I wasn't smart, I wasn't dumb. I was an average student. I had always 75%, which is passing grade.
Yeah.
Passing grade. I never stayed back. And I really enjoyed my first 6 years. And then when you reach 12 years old, you must choose, which is unfair at that age for a boy. You have to choose your path of your future, because now you have to go to high school. You can keep going to the public school another 3 years if you want to be a plumber or just be a truck driver. But if you intend to have to go further to be a professional or something, then you must go to a paying high school, and that is a lot of money because you have to buy all your books, tuition. But this is the school that you must go to if you want to become a doctor or lawyer or any professional. You must go there. Actually, when I finished my 6th grade, I had to choose now, either keep going to that school or go to the paying high school. Actually, my father, believing in education, says, Louis, you go to that high school. So I applied, and my grades were good. I took an exam. I passed an exam, and I was accepted, and I was accepted in that school, free of charge. They gave me books, because even though it was 1940, we were, you know, there was no money. My family didn't have, no money. We couldn't afford to pay the school at all. So that's when I started to go to high school, and my plan was to be an engineer.
Really?
Yeah. But then I realized, then you see, when you want to, and then when you start that school, you have to know exactly what you want to do. In other words, even when you start the first year, you must decide what your future. If you're going to be a doctor, you will go to the Latin section, where you're going to have a lot of Latin, a lot of
chemistry,
not too much.
sciences.
Maybe less sciences. No. If you're going to if you take the Latin school, you have Latin, a lot of French, and very little geometry, very little mathematics, but you have science and a little bit. But mostly, this is the Latin. Then if you're going to be an engineer, you take we used to call it the modern course. And this was full of math, you see. So I thought that would be a good idea. Because I was good in up to the 6th grade, 12th grade.
Yeah.
12th grade. I was decent in calculus, but then we started algebra, geometry, and then I realized that I wasn't good at all. Then I switched to the commercial course. Commercial course gives you languages. We had languages. Very little mathematics, maybe an hour every day. It's not your main point. Then typewriting, shorthand, and this is, for instance, if you want to go into the commercial, maybe you go the business, banking. So there were three parts to decide in high school.
Boy.
You have to decide.
It's like going to college.
And yes, you have to decide what's your future. If you take the wrong road, you know, it's not fair, but that's the way it was. And I believe it still is. So I went to the commercial part. And this I really did well, because languages I was very good, and all the other courses, geometry, geography.
You study English?
I studied English, German, Flemish. Oh, I must tell you that Flemish is also part of the language of a Belgian language. Belgium is divided into half. The northern part is Flemish, the southern part is French. So it's a must that you in the south the children will learn Flemish, and in the north, where they speak Flemish, they will learn French. So we every day was an hour of Flemish, and English every day, and German every day now. And I was pretty good. I was the top of my class, as a matter of fact.
Good. All right,
Yeah.
Louis.
Yeah, any language I was very good.
Well,
And
so
that went on for 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah. And I finished that.
When you
That's
were
good.
18?
I was,
17?
yeah. That was 17 because I started in November, so you're
Yeah,
you
I was younger,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was younger, yeah. All right, so we finished school.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about growing up and uh, religion. How about religion? Did
Oh,
you
no,
go to
on
Hebrew
this
school
part,
or?
no, I'm sorry to say that on religion, where we lived in Mons was a small town, 25 to 28,000 people, very, very bourgeois.
Mm-hmm.
There was only about 5 or 6 Jewish families. There was no way of me getting a Jewish education at all. First of all, because my father himself didn't know much,
Mm-hmm.
because he left school at the age of 12.
Mm-hmm.
He went to work already then.
Mm-hmm.
My mother knew how to read and write Hebrew, but she had no way of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to know, but it's another thing to teach.
Right.
And she didn't teach us anything. What she taught us is the basic Jewish values.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Jewish holidays and to what they mean, traditions.
Did you keep a kosher house?
No, she didn't. No, there was no way of keeping a
No
kosher house
way.
because there was no
Yeah.
kosher.
Yeah, 2 sets of dishes.
No, there was no way of doing. No, there was no way of doing that.
Okay. Did you have any special chores that you had to do around the house that were just yours?
Oh yes,
What'd
yes,
you do?
yes. Those chores, remember, those chores were only when I was at least after 12 or 13 years old.
Oh.
Well, as children, we had all we had to do is just go to the store and bring back a cigarette for dad. And that's about all. But as we grow older, my chore was in the winter time to come down and light the stove. Because as you know, in Belgium, there is no central heating.
Mm-hmm.
We all lived in a kitchen. And in the winter time, someone has to go down and start the stove. It was my job. For 6 years,
Yeah,
I
there
came
it
down and made the stove.
Good. Okay. Well, now we finished asking all those questions?
High school?
Okay, yeah, high school.
Yeah.
After that, okay. So you graduated high school.
But then I can start with my violin lesson.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. When did you have violin?
Well, no, the reason I play violin is because Eli, my father's brother,
Uh-huh.
Eli, was a violinist.
Uh-huh.
He was an interesting violinist because he was almost like a self-taught violinist. He had very few lessons, but he was so musically inclined that he just became good. But not a symphony type violinist. He became more of a concert, of a popular violinist. Because in Europe in those days, you could go to a beautiful cafe and sip tea or coffee where society meet, and there was always an orchestra playing. And he studied violin, and when he left home in the 1930 or 33, he went to Berlin, and there, there he formed an all-woman orchestra.
No, really?
Yes, an all-woman orchestra, playing waltzes,
Uh-huh.
operettas, and entertain popular music.
Uh-huh.
Semi-classical, not classical, semi-classical, a lot of waltzes. Germans liked a lot of waltzes, and he formed a women's orchestra.
Wow.
Yeah, and he also told me that he played the cafe. He played like on a platform, on a big platform.
Well, did he play too, or was he conductor?
No, he was a conductor.
He was a conductor.
Oh yes, he was a conductor, and he had a woman. That went on for many years, up to 1938, where he had a I happened, but he has then he gets a contract to play on a ship from Poland to New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how he
Yeah,
got
that's also you know you entertain people, and
Yeah.
he went on the ship, and that's where he met his wife. Oh, by the way, her name is Rose. Now I remember. Her name is Rose. He met her, and he married her in New York. I believe yes, he married in New York. Came back to Poland in 1938 or 39, and on its way to back to New York, say goodbye to his mother and father. To back to New York, he came to Belgium,
Oh.
and he came to Mons. Always remember, he came to Mons. He stayed with us 2-3 days,
Uh-huh.
and that's the reason that my father, before, a year before, my father said to me, Louis, you're gonna play violin like my brother Eli.
Uh-huh.
So, those days, father says, Louis, you're going to play violin. You play violin? So I started. We had a concert in my town. We had a conservatoire. And I applied. And I started the music. The first year, you learn how to sing the notes, solfège. It's called solfège.
Oh, when you sing the do si la si
Yes,
do?
yes, right. First year solfège, and the second year they give you the conservatoire. If you can't afford it, they give you a violin,
Uh-huh.
and that's when I started. And I really enjoyed it because, by the way, I seemed to be so inclined to play the violin that I was glad I took up the instrument, and I played for 1938 about 5 years. About 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We also played in the conservatoire. I had a little orchestra.
Huh.
I played in the orchestra. Third violin though. Not first, third violin. And sometimes used to play a little for friends, parties. Used to play violin. That's the reason of me playing violin, because of Eli
Oh.
playing violin.
Okay, well let's
Yes.
have a sample. Frere Jacques, eh?
Oh, of course.
Right over here. There's your violin. Can you focus in on this picture here?
You what?
I don't know if you can see that. Let me take it out. I'll just open it so you don't get the glare. On the bottom, there's Louis with his violin.
This is, yes, that's right. This is in front of my house in Belgium.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Also, must tell you that
Show any more pictures or?
Yeah, well, let's show, who's this thing?
this is me,
Yeah.
Jacques, Simon.
Okay, right up here. Simone is the tallest,
Yes.
Jacques is next, and then Louis.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Okay, you
Okay.
play?
Also, I must tell you that this violin was given to me by my uncle Eli.
Oh.
When he passed by Mons,
Uh-huh.
he brought me this violin. He says, Louis, this is my first violin. But I have 2 other ones, and I'll leave you this one.
Wow.
How about Sur le Pont?
Okay. Right. Well, I will play you a nice little French song called Sur le Pont d'Avignon.
Did you date much during your teenage years?
Of course!
Yeah?
Oh,
Did
sure.
you take them out on dates, or what did you do?
Well, I must tell you that in Mons, in those days, I don't know, it may be different now, but as a young man in my time, you could not be seen with a girl.
Really?
That's right.
How come?
You could, it was a rule. Also, I must tell you that boys and girls were always separate schools. There was no co-ed.
Oh.
But boys' schools and girls' schools. And you were not supposed to be seen with another girl.
Well, how'd you go with a girl?
Well, first of all, my first date was I was about 14 years old.
Uh-huh.
And when I used to go out with her, we used to go in the back street. In streets that we could not go in the main street. No, you could not go to the square or go have an ice cream because somebody could see you. And if a teacher would see you, forget it. The next day, can I tell you a story about it?
Sure, tell us a story.
I was 16, I always remember, I was 16 years old. And my girlfriend used to come in by streetcar. And our school started at 8:20. She used to come in, she was also used to come in, for her school was on 8:30. Coming to see, I used to pick her up on 8, 5 after 8, and I used to walk her to school. And one day the principal called me, Chapnik, I want to see you. I said, what did I do now? He says, I saw you with a girl, and he says, you know, your mind is to be for studies, never mind girls. And he said, if you have time to pick up your girl, you'll have time to come to school. For the next month, you will come to report to the study at 8 o'clock.
Oh.
And that was my punishment. For a month I had to report because many students used to come in by train. So the school was open and we had a special big class to receive all this until the bell rang.
Yeah.
So I had to report for 1 month to the teacher.
Detention.
The detention because I was seen, yes.
Wow.
I was seen with a girl. Yeah, you could not have been, you could have seen with girl. And even a girl that I used to meet on this, she could not, her mother and father could not see her. If her mother and father knew that she was going, she used to give an excuse, I have to go here and there,
Yeah.
but actually it was a date, and my mother would have seen me. It was really something. It wasn't done those days.
Wow.
And that went on for until I was about 18.
Yeah.
Everything was on the.
But after 18, you could.
Yeah,
date.
well, once you know, after 18,
Have
then
you gone
after yes, then you're older, and it seems that you are on your own. And that's when I started to.
That's where I must
Yeah,
have gotten
yeah.
that early lust for the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. I had as a teenager, I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I would say
Kissed a lot of girls.
I kissed a lot of girls. Kissed a lot of girls. Yes.
Okay, so when you graduated, then what
But
did you do?
the problem is that I had a lot of girls, but I didn't have much money.
Yes, you couldn't
Because
take
my
a
dates where I used to go, if you have to go to the movie, I used to tell my girl, I'll meet you upstairs. I couldn't afford to
Yeah.
pay her fare.
Well, when did you get your first job?
My first job is interesting. I was telling you the way I started as an upholsterer.
Yeah.
You see, in Europe, we sleep on wool mattresses,
Mm.
and every so often, maybe 7, 8, 10 years, the wool gets compact, and it has to be freshened up. So you call the mattress maker to your house, mostly in the summertime. He comes in and he opens your mattress. He brings a new casing. He opens the mattress and he has a little machine, a portable machine, like a woman weaving. You know, you sit
The
makes
loom
a lo-
or the spindle?
Yeah, spin. Yeah, it's a machine, and with and it had a contraption with one side. It had teeth going one way and the bed going the other way. So as you push the wool through, and by hand you used to push up, back and forth, and the wool used to come out on the other side, fresh and fluffy and like new. You see, and so that's what mattress maker comes. If you want your mattress freshened up, to make it soft, because after a while, 10 years, it's hard like a rock. So I remember that mattress man came to my house, and we had 3 mattresses to be done, so he didn't. And he came with his father. His father was about 75, 8 years old, and he was complaining he couldn't get anybody to help him. He's looking for a young man to teach him, even teach him the trade. And also I must tell you, it was 1945. I was finished with school, and no work. It was right after. It was a liberation. There was the economy was just flat. There was no work to be gotten, and so that's the reason. When I was standing next to him, he says, "Louis, what are you doing?" So I says, "Well, nothing much. Would you like to come and help me learn the trade? Maybe you like it." And I said, "Well, I have nothing else to do. I'm going to give it a try." And that's how I got to be in a mat. First, I started with a mattress. Most of the time, I went with him and get a machine, and I started to push the wool through the thing. It was it was interesting. Dusty though.
Oh, I can imagine.
Well, no, you see, most of the time when it was nice, 99% it was outside. Every house has open air, so we used to be on the outside in the sun. There's no problem. But in time we had to go, and it was overcast, and it started to rain, so we had to go to the attic, and there was really. You could cut the dust. So, and that's how I got into this into the mattress making. And in the winter time, he started furniture making, and I stayed with him, and that's how I started to learn the upholstery. I liked it.
Yeah. So then, what did you do after that? I mean, did you get another job after that?
Yes, I started. He taught me, and then I went to another big shop, and I didn't work at it too long, because then I came to the United States. It was the only was about 2 years.
What was going on in Europe at that time, like war-wise and
Yeah, well, now we start in 1940.
Okay.
1940, I was then 13 years old. Sorry, I was 13 years old, and war started. Before you know it, the German occupied the country, your town, and you live side by side. You see, Germans, soldiers marching. You don't pay attention to them. I went about my school. My father went about his business. Life stayed mostly the same as before, except the Germans were there. But if you had things to do, you just went about your business. My father kept his tailoring. We everyone in our household, we all went to school. There was no problem until 1942, where when the Jews had to register to the city hall to have the word Jew put on your identification card, because in Europe everyone carries an ID card with your picture on it. It's an ID card. So all Jews had to go to the city hall and register. The luck with us is that my father, being so busy at not making too much money, he was always busy. So busy that he said, "I will go tomorrow tomorrow, tomorrow. And there was a deadline and a great penalty. They gave you, Germans gave you maybe a month or two to, I don't remember, but up to that time. So we passed the deadline, and my father didn't go to the city hall to register as Jews. Luckily, at that time, my father was working for the chief of police, was repairing a jacket, and we told him the story, and he says, Mr. Chapnik, just stay where you are, nobody knows, nobody will see, I'll make sure that the policeman of the chair, they call it, the neighborhood, knows about you, and don't worry. And that's how it went.
So you didn't have to register as
So
Jews?
we never registered as Jews, and nobody denounced us. On the other hand, nobody knew that we were Jews, because where we lived, you don't advertise you are a Jew, but they all know we were. If you are a Pole, everyone know that we were Polish. Because that's what we were. I mean, that's what my father was.
Right.
My father was a Pole.
Right.
We had a Polish name, and you had Italians, and you had Greeks. We had many nationalities, but nobody knew about Jews. You see, so when we didn't register, there was no way of people to know that he's a Jew. He's not registered. You see, so by fate, we just went through the war without being registered.
Did anything happen to the Jews in your...
No, the other Jews, the other 6 or 7 family, they registered.
Yeah. Did anything happen to them during
And
this
then,
time?
yes, they registered, and 2 months later, they received a letter to report to such and such a town near Brussels. And like sheep, they went. I suppose instead of taking the train to Brussels, they could have taken another train to someplace else and go in a small village or do something or move to another house. Because, you see, nobody was there to chase them. They just send you a letter, you must report, but if you move, either was a way. But they went. You know, 3 Greek families, I remember, because I used to play with their sons. I always remember Albert and Maurice, and a few other ones, who they took suitcases and went to the train, and we never heard of them again. We stayed through the war, hidden, actually under the fear,
Yeah, sure.
under the fear of constant fear of being denounced, that there is a Jewish family. By who, I don't know.
Do you know what would happen if you got the letter? Did they know what was happening to the Jews at that time? You know, they had to report to a certain place. Did
Yes.
anybody know what happened to them at that point, or?
No, you took a train. You take a train to a city in near Brussels. It was like a military installation, and that's it. Now, if I don't know if they who checked off why they you know was there to say, oh, here they are, check them out. Where are they? You know. So luckily, but unfortunately, my brother in 1942 went to Paris to see my mother's brother, the one in Paris, and I understand that night Germans cordoned off the whole neighborhood. The whole neighborhood was 100% Jewish. They cordoned off the whole neighborhood and took everybody into trucks.
In Paris, you're
In
talking
Paris, yes. My brother was unfortunately passing the summer at my uncle. And that's how I lost my brother, Jean. By the way,
Yeah. That's
your
how I
name
get my
comes from.
name.
Yes, how you got your
You
name.
don't know
Exactly.
what happened?
Yes, after the war, we made inquiry. We sent inquiry to the Red Cross, and we got a photocopy of the list of a train list, and his name was on it. 19 August, I think, 42. convoy number such and such and such, Jacques Chapnik, Auschwitz. Destination.
And with his uncle and aunt too? Were
Yes,
they-
yeah, yeah, they all went, yes.
There were ever any bombings or anything around you, or?
Oh yeah, sure. The funny part is, the German came, we cursed the German. Bombed our city, because Mons was like sort of a crossroad of railroad. So it was an important crossroad of railroad from to France, to France, to one part of France, and to one part to the north and to the south. It was like a really a crossroad. And they bombed the railroad, and I didn't live too far from the railroad. I walked about 6 or 7 minutes from the railroad. So they bombed Mons, Germany, in 1940. In 1945, the Americans bombed Mons.
Really?
So then we come to America. And just go to Germany.
Did you have curfews and stuff?
Oh yes, yeah. During the occupation, we had curfew. Curfew was up to, I don't remember, I think it was even 10 o'clock, I think, 10 to 11 o'clock was our curfew. Yeah. Everything had to be dark.
Mm-hmm. You have to be off the streets.
Off the street, yeah. That's true.
Would you get randomly interrogated by Germans? Would they saw you walking, would they say, hey, you come over here, let me look at your papers?
Oh, well, if I want to tell you a story on that,
Sure.
a story, a harrowing story, because in 1940, yes, 1944, when when the American bomb, we had a hole, like a shrapnel or something came to the roof, made a hole in our roof. So we moved out temporarily until it could be fixed. We moved out, and I always remember we were in another place. Then 2 Gestapo men come in. My father's there, I'm there, Simon, Anna, Maurice, we all find we were sort of moving. Those 2 Gestapo men come in, and they say, papers. My father gives this ID card. Actually, it was the ID card of a foreigner in Belgium is yellow. You see, if you're a Belgian citizen, it's green.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a foreigner, any foreigner, you know, it's yellow. Takes his card, takes my card, my Simon's card, and he looks at it, and he looks, and he looks, and he looks, and he looks at us, and he looks at the card. The whole thing, the whole thing started maybe, it was about 2 minutes. It seemed like eternity. Looking at us, looking at a card. And I don't know why I said it. Okay.
Oh boy.
Do you think because you didn't have Jews printed on
Oh,
it?
if the word Jews was on it, forget it. I would be here. It was the end. Of course.
All because your father was helping, or doing tailored work for the chief of police.
No, it was not too.
Procrastinator.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll go tomorrow, and tomorrow. That's how I'm alive. That's how I'm alive.
Well, we're glad. Okay, so
That was one experience.
how did you decide to come to America?
Well, to come to America was a decision made by.
Ask Daddy about the girl he was gonna marry.
What about the girl you were going to marry? Who were you
Well,
gonna
after
marry?
all, no,
You
you
have
don't
a
have to go through
serious-
that. Well, I met a girl.
Briefly.
Briefly, we were almost engaged.
Oh, yeah, what was her name?
Her name was Huguette.
Oh, you get.
Huguette
It's worse than you.
Brognier.
Too far
Huguette Brognier. We almost married. But in between, I must tell you that my Simon met a GI in Mons because after the liberation, uh, we there was an announcement that I believe a Jewish captain or a Jewish chaplain wanted to meet the Jewish community in Mons, and I believe that's how Simon met Jacques Shoulder.
Crazy Jack.
Crazy Jack.
Jack
Who
was
is
a soldier.
yes, yeah, the soldier, yes. And they met, and suppose they fell in love, but they married in Mons.
Oh.
Yeah, they married in Mons. And
See, that's why Maxine is so much older.
Yes.
Yeah, they married young.
Yeah.
yes, yes, right. And Maxine was born in Mons.
Oh.
Maxine is born in Mons, yeah.
What was the liberation like?
Oh, the liberation was marvelous. I always remember the last German who left the town. He was on a horse. It was, I think it was Thursday. He was on a horse, and it was an old column, and I was standing and looking at him, and he asked me in French. He says, where? He says, where are the where do you think are the Americans? So I says, I don't know. I says, well, they're going to be here very soon. And sure enough, the next day, here they are.
Yeah, the Americans.
Yeah,
come.
I go to the house and go down the street, and there's a whole column of GIs. And we were there's no description. You know, you can't describe. You have to live that moment. You know, happy. It's more than happy. It's you know, it's a feeling of finally free, especially me. You know, maybe a Belgian citizen was also, but for me it was double freedom.
Uh-huh.
For the Belgian citizen was
Don't
freedom,
worry.
but for us was double freedom. And I remember the first GI I see, I said, "Hello, what's your name?" What's your name? Because I see I studied English, but I just never could put into practice. And I said, "What's your name?" He says, "My name is so and so." And he says, "What's mine?" "My name is Louis." "And where do you come from?" You know, I always remember he comes from Chicago.
No.
And little by little, I tried to put my English into, you know, floor.
How old were you then?
I was in the 45. I was 18 then. 1945. Yes, I was 18. I was 18. Then a few months later, a captain came to our English class because I hadn't finished school. I think I was almost finished in school. Yeah, I was. Yes, that's why. 45. Well, in 44. Sorry, I finished 45. In 44, when they were liberated, a captain came to our class and asked us if anybody would be available to come and work in in a depot. They needed translators to help because they were going to hire Belgian workers to unload the trucks, unload the trains into the depot, the warehouse depot, and they needed interpreters. So they came and asked, in our class, seniors, if anybody would just work a few hours, you know. So naturally, I needed money, because you wouldn't be paid, you know, blah, blah, blah. A few of us volunteered, and I started to work after school. I worked from about 4 to 9 at night. And that's why I was able to practice my English.
Uh-huh.
And I worked until 1945, so I worked a full year. You see, until I finished school, and that's how I came to speak English. So
Yeah,
so
so
good,
well.
so well. when I came to America, you see,
Yeah.
I came to America. I was home
Yeah.
because I had spent so much time with them as interpreter, and I got better and better and better and better.
So how did you come
Now,
to
then Simon marries Jack
Right.
and comes to America in 1948, I believe. Yes, 1948. Then We correspond, letters back and forth, back and forth. I'm in Mons. And as I grew older, just couldn't stand the town. It was such a small town with small-minded people, very narrow-minded, really a bourgeoisie. In other words, that town was a middle class, with the noses up. And I really couldn't stand it. I just bored to death. I was bored to death in Mons. Well, actually, the Jews flow, and you have to go with girls. You meet girls, and I met this girl, and I went with her about a couple of years. We were not talking about marriage, but I'm sure that I stayed, I would have married her. Then, in 1950, Simon in America puts an ad into the paper, in the New York paper. New York had a Jewish paper, looking for my mother's brother,
Louis?
Louis. We lost in touch since when he came to America.
Right.
So
Was Eli already here?
Eli, no.
No.
Eli, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Eli came in 1939,
Yeah.
in the nick of time of the invasion of Germany in Poland.
Yeah.
She puts an ad in the paper looking for a Louis Rosenzweig, who lived in such a blah blah blah, and there's detail, and sure enough, somebody tells him that somebody's looking for you.
Whoa!
And he
It's
looks
like
at
a
the
puzzle.
ad, and he tells, and he calls Simon, if you know, I said nobody called such a, and he called Simon and asked a question, and he realized that he's the uncle. He came to Malden, and that's how, and actually corresponding with Simon, Simon always said, Louis, come to America, don't stay in Mons. And because I was complaining about life is so bored, so bored, so small. And so when she met him, she gave him the proposition, Uncle Lou, can you make papers for my brother?
You have to apply to get somebody.
Yes, you have to fill out papers for the immigration that you're gonna be. No, actually, you apply. You sponsor. That's right. Do you want to sponsor my brother?
Where did he live?
In the Bronx, in New York.
Bronx.
Yes. So he said, sure. And within 2-3 weeks, I get a batch of papers to be signed, and I need a notarized paper that that I would come to the United States and not be a burden to the community. Send the whole thing to the United States consulate in Antwerp, and at that time the quota was where you were born, not the nationality. United States, you came into the United States on a quota, so many from where you were born. And being born in France, the quota was actually empty. No French people come to America. Very few come to America. So when I sent in my papers, within a month or two, I believe, I had a visa. So as soon as I received my visa, I said to my girl, I told her the story, that I'm leaving to America. And that's
She cried.
She cried. She cried, I think she did, yeah. And that's how I came in 1950. In March 1950, I arrived in the United States.
How much in your pocket?
I came to America with $100. Also, I must tell you.
$100?
Huh?
Who gave you the $100?
Oh yes, I must tell you also that in Belgium, the immigrants, the Jewish organization contacted me and came to my house and to wish me luck, blah, 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 and said, do you have any money? So I told him, no, because I didn't have any because I paid the fare. And in 1950, to come to the United States, the price was, I think it was $200. In those days, $200 was a fortune. A fortune. They gave me $100.
Did they?
Yes, with a promise that I will return the money.
Hmm.
As soon as I get a job, they can, you know, I don't, then they have information where I'm going and blah, blah, blah. As soon as you have a job, just pay us back.
Did you?
Of course. I got a job and I used to send them for a few dollars every week. And it's like an art.
What did your parents think about you coming here?
At that time, well, Simon was here. And my mother and father, you know, seeing that, I can't stay. They were not too happy. They were not too happy. But then at that time says, so you'll come to America too someday. Let's put your name in, because my father, being born in Poland, the Polish quota was full, because so many Jews wanted, you know, applied to come here, and they all were born, you know, in Poland.
Yeah.
You see, so the wait, I understand, was then in 1950 about 5 or 6 years. You see, so my father said, well, maybe. So anyway, I was 1950, so I was only 23, and I just wanted to go, and there was no way they could hold me back. And I'm glad.
Yeah.
So I came to the United States with $100.
How did you get here, by boat, or was it?
I came by boat, yes. I came by boat. I threw up my $200, but I came by boat. And also, you know, I was a little side story. Is I was told that America is paved with gold. So when I came to America, as I went down the gangplank, the fellow in front of me bent over and picks up a piece of gold. That was the last piece of gold. So so I had to roll off my sleeve and go to work. He picked up the last piece. Did you believe it?
Oh, just your luck.
Just my luck. Yeah, Uncle Eli picked me up at the pier.
So did you live,
Did you come into Ellis Island? In the,
No, no.
Where'd you land?
No, the immigration, when I came in 1950s, I understand the procedure was boats, the immigration people come on the boat, way out. So in other words, you pass, they line up everybody, you know, and they get a room and you line up and you wait your turn and you go through immigration with your papers and get your stamp to get off, because when you get off the gangplank you have to show your passport or get to a police on the board that you have passed, you see.
And what city did you land in?
In New York.
New York City.
Oh yeah, all
Did you
over.
pass the Statue of Liberty?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, it was at night. It was at night. I from all boats, I took the slow boat to China. It was supposed to be a 10-day trip. It took us 13 days with a storm. 3 days of the boat up. Die sick. Seasick.
so you were in New York, and then, so where was Simone then?
Simone was already in was in Malden.
Malden, where she
Yeah.
is now.
Yeah, she's now.
And you
Yeah.
came to live.
And I came to live with her. Yes. I came to live with her. And let's see, 1950.
When did Maurice come over?
Now Maurice came, and so I said when I left Mons, I said to my father, apply, because when I left, Maurice says, I want to go too. So I says, sign up. One never knows how long it will take.
Yeah.
So in 1950 they signed up, and sure enough it didn't take too long, because they came in 1952 for some reason.
Morris
2 years, yes.
and-
Maurice, my mother and my father.
Your father
Okay.
came here.
Yes, in 1950. It took them just 2 years. I don't know why it went so fast, but that's how they came, by applying.
Mhm.
1950.
And they came
When
to
in
Malden?
They came to Malden in 1952. Now, in the meantime, my sister Anna
Uh-huh.
marries in 1949. She
yeah.
marries Pierre
Uh-huh.
Unger and goes to lives in Brussels
Mhm.
and has one daughter, Therese.
Okay, so when Now, so you came here and you got a job as an upholsterer?
Yes.
And when did you go in the army? Or
Oh yes. No, in 1950 I came, worked until August when the Korean War started.
uh-huh.
Registered, inducted in November 1950.
Mm-hmm.
I had my basic training in Camp Edwards at the Cape, and went and sent overseas the following March to Germany.
Oh boy.
So in other words, by coincidence, in March 1950 I came to America, and in March 1951 I was right back in Europe, in Germany.
Let's show some pictures here.
And
This pictures of you?
yes, this is me in 1950.
Tilted this way. Okay, stop.
Handsome devil, isn't he?
Why don't they?
What year? Hold on a minute. What year is this picture taken here?
Oh, this is done in Mons. This is 1949. That's 1949 before I came to America.
Okay. Okay. So you were in Germany. How long were you in Germany?
I was in Germany for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years in Germany.
Did you fight?
No.
What'd
the
you
only,
do?
Well, yes, the only,
Battle of
the
the
only
Four
battles I had are with the four lines. those were the fun battles. Yeah,
What was
the
your
fun
job?
battles.
What was your duty or what was your job?
Oh, I had a very good tour of duty because in 1940 I could speak very good German. You know, because I finished my school in 1945, and in 1950 I didn't miss too many years. So in 1950, 51, I could speak very good German, could understand all German. I could speak very well, and they needed an interpreter also,
Oh, boy.
because the Americans employed German civilians in a kitchen. We had no KPs, in a PX, in our compound. Yes, and they had workers and building people, and the captain, the major, not the major, must be the major. He used to go around and try to talk to these people, and he couldn't speak to them. So finally, I found who could speak German. So I said, I can speak German. Come with me. So I was in the office, the whole day in my a Class A uniform. I had very little duty, but I had to go around with him or settle problems, whatever. Right. Yeah.
So
And
then,
that gave me a chance to go to visit my mother and father. At that time, they were still in Belgium. In 1951, they were still there. Took a trip as a soldier.
Then you were all back in 1952,
And I came back in 1952.
and they came.
And 1952, they came.
Where did they live when they came here?
When they lived in the same house as Simone lived downstairs. My mom at that time, Simone owned the house, so she lived upstairs, and they get the tenant to move out, so we moved in. That's in 1952. And unfortunately, in 1953, my father died.
Is he buried here?
And my father is buried here. And Morris goes in the army also. Goes to Korean War. He's going out, so he comes from America, register, and is inducted in the army. And he lands in France. He had also a nice tour of duty. Right home. Discharged. I went to work in a forester in Malden, and life became like a routine.
Yeah. When did you meet Lenny? Is he?
I met Lenny through Morris. Maurice met him somehow, somewhere, I don't know. Then when I came back, I was discharged, he introduced me his friend. That's how I got to know him, with a few other friends. That's how I got to know him. And then we went out dancing with the boys, with the girls, and life took on a routine. An everyday
So you
routine.
were- you were an
Go to work.
upholsterer?
Yeah, I learned, yeah,
You worked in a
upholsterer.
shop?
I worked in a shop, I worked in Boston, I worked in Malden.
How much did you make a week?
Those days I worked for,
GI Bill.
oh yeah, the wages were about $1 an hour.
Uh-huh.
But as a GI, the government could subsidize you to learn a trade and supplement your wages.
Uh-huh.
So I applied for that and to learn, because the European style of upholstering and the American style of upholstering was a little different.
Uh-huh.
So I could not produce. In other words, I was starting from scratch again. So the help I got from the government came in handy. So like this, the boss didn't have to pay me too much because I was getting.
So you get about
check.
$50 a week?
I got $100 a month.
Oh,
Yeah, $25 a week.
And all this time you're living at Simone's?
Yes. Yeah.
When,
And then then that's about all for
okay. Did you,
1952 to 53.
okay. When you came over, was your name changed already, or when did they change your name? The C-Z-A-P-N-I-K, the spelling.
Oh, I came to America and I changed it.
changed it.
Yeah, I
How was
changed
it originally spelled?
Yeah, well, because in Polish, in Poland, CZ is Chapnik. But actually, if my father's paper was CZ on his passport, he came to Belgium and France with CZ. Actually, Chapnik in a Western country is Zapnik. It's not Chapnik. So Chapnik has to be CH. That's
So you changed it when you came.
I came to America and
How does
I
that
spell
work?
it Chapnik. How do you spell it? C-H-A-P-N-I-K.
So you told them how to spell your name?
Yes, right. But I came on my passport under C-Z-A-P-N-I-K. Miss Chapnik on both ways.
Okay, is that about it?
What about that one fateful night?
Well, we're gonna get to that.
So both you come together.
That's coming. You're gonna get. Okay, we'll be back in a minute to chat with Ruthie and Louie. We'll give Louie a little break. Okay, we have some extra Ruthie stories while Louie is taking a rest. Okay, Ruthie. Well, first when you were a little girl, I wanted to bring up the fact that you also were musically inclined.
Oh, definitely, definitely. One day, the music director came into the room and wanted some volunteers to play a musical instrument. The instruments were the sticks, the triangles, and they looked at me and said, "You're tall, how about playing the cymbals?" So I played the cymbals in this orchestra, and we were really quite good. Our best song was The Skater's Waltz.
Well, how does that go? No, it's not the
See,
same.
you know The Skater's Waltz. No, I can't really remember it. And my big moment would come at the end of the selection, any selection, when I banged the cymbals.
All right.
Crap.
Okay, so we got that. Now what else?
Well, I could tell you
Oh, tell us about Aunt Mary.
stories.
Tell us about.
Yes. When my grandmother came to this country with my mother and Uncle Sam and Aunt Mary. Aunt Mary was a little girl of about 4 years old. My mother was 1 year older. And she always had allergies and problems with her eyes. To this day, she still has allergy in her eyes and problems. And if you weren't perfect, you didn't come into this country. And they took a look at my aunt with her runny eyes, and they were going to send them all back to Russia. And my grandmother had an uncle, I don't know his first name, but his last name was Chernovsky. And he owned the biggest department store in Augusta, Maine. And evidently he was a rather imposing looking man. And he came down to the boat to take them off the boat and bring them up to Augusta, Maine. And he walked in, and he always wore a cutaway and a big beaver hat.
What's a cutaway?
A suit.
Yeah.
And a big beaver hat, and came in very imposing and demanded that his niece be released, and sure enough.
Oh, really?
Yes, he
Oh,
was
yeah?
a very, very wealthy man at this point. And they all went to Augusta, Maine, and my mother went, and Sam went. Aunt Mary went to her grandmother in East Boston, and my mother and Sam went with their mother to Augusta, Maine. And Nana, my mother, went to a little French school and spoke French as a youngster. And then finally they came back to East Boston. And then my grandmother married Mr. Hoffman. And opened a grocery store that she had for many, many, many years.
Really?
Yes, in East Boston.
Neat. Well, shall we get on to vacations?
Oh, my fantastic vacations were spent in Roxbury at my aunt Ruth's house.
What did you do?
Well, Milton and I would go over, and we'd go visit our wealthy cousins, Marilyn and Judy, and we'd visit Max Breslaw, and we'd play. I knew all these cousins as I grew up. Those were my vacations. Occasionally, I would go to Aunt Mary in Roxbury when she had Phyllis, and I would play with Phyllis. And I taught Phyllis how to draw, and she became so interested in art, even though she never was very good at art herself, that she's now curator of the museums in Long Island, New York. She works for the Guggenheim Foundation.
And all because of you.
Well, this, no, she was very interested in
Yeah.
art because of this. I used to play with her and show her how to draw. Always
Okay, let's bring Louie back on the set. Louie, come on over here and sit next to your lovely wife. Give her a kiss. Really? Okay, so you guys met when?
One enchanted evening.
One enchanted evening.
Would you like to tell about this lovely woman?
Or tell your
who looked like a
version.
girl?
You each tell your version.
The version is exactly
The
the same.
same.
Okay.
You tell it. It's your fault. You tell it.
Yeah.
It was a dance, an evening of dance, evening of dance.
At that time, young people
Young
went
people went to
to
dances.
meet
It wasn't-
other.
yeah.
The Jewish dances?
Was it
Yes,
Jewish?
yes. The girls went with a whole group of girls,
Girls
and
and
boys
boys
went
and
with
a whole
an whole
group
group
of
of
boys.
boys.
And
And
met, dance,
Have a
argue,
ball.
whatever. And I approached this gorgeous girl standing
tall and thin.
tall and thin. Tall and thin.
Among a group, a bevy of young
Yeah.
ladies.
And I approached this gorgeous thing
Who was it?
and I asked, would you like to dance. She says, she looks at me. She says, no.
I did not, I said, no, thank you. I
Oh,
was
all right,
always
yeah,
very
all right,
polite.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes,
Very
that's right.
polite.
But no is no.
Yes.
No, thank you. I said, why? She says, you're too shy. So I said, I'm not too short for you.
And my friend Stella pushed me onto the dance floor
She says, go ahead.
with this very Lebanese-looking man.
What nationality
Dark
did you think
hair.
he was, Ruthie, when you saw him?
Perhaps
I don't-
some Mediterranean.
Did he have
Well,
an
I had an
accent?
accent. Yeah, I
Yes,
had an accent. Yeah.
Mediterranean.
Yeah.
I thought perhaps he was Italian. I had no idea. I had no idea. As a matter of fact, when we became engaged and Aunt Ida came over and met him, she thought I was marrying an Italian because he looked so dark and Italian looking.
So you
So we
danced the night.
danced, and we danced the night.
Yeah.
She danced with that short fella
All
the
right.
whole night.
You asked for her number.
And asked for a number. I take you home? Can I take you home?
I don't think so.
No, no,
Oh,
you went
I
home
out
with
with
the
the
Stella.
girls.
Yeah,
Out with the
that's right.
girls.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, give your phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You called her.
Call her up.
And where did you take me?
Where did I take you?
To a French movie.
Oh,
Stop
God.
trying to.
That must have been God created woman.
I don't
no?
remember the name
No.
of the movie.
Did
Or
you
the
hate
French-
it?
Yeah, ask her.
No, I loved movies.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went every Saturday
Yeah.
to the movie,
Yes,
double
yeah.
feature.
Well, she was intellectual. When I said, would you like to go to a French movie? She says, I'd love to.
Yeah.
You know, and we
She
went
didn't
to
mind
a
that.
lot of movies, and then one day he said, let's go to Fox. The Boston Fox, you pick up the tickets. They were $1 a piece. I picked up 2 tickets, I put out $2, and to this day, he never paid me.
Pay her.
What's the, I always say, what's the rush? What? Don't push. Nag, nag, nag. I'll pay you. Don't push.
That is the courtship.
Well, how long did you date before you asked her to marry you?
He didn't ask me to marry him. He sent this man up to the house with engagement rings.
No, really?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I thought I
A
was
man you didn't know?
absolutely died.
A man you didn't know?
My grandmother and my mother were absolutely wiped out with this man.
They think it was romantic? Or they
I
think it
don't
was
know.
crazy?
I don't
no.
know.
Oh, no, I remember.
You never
think-
asked
I
me.
think it's
You
because-
never asked me. You said, go over
No.
and let her pick out a ring.
Yes, that's what it
Oh.
was. Yes, you see, this
And
this
this
jewelry, this jewelry man was a friend of my boss, George Star
Because he
Upholstery,
gets
and he came to the shop.
And you told
And
him
I
about
told
this
them
wonderful,
that I'm
beautiful.
planning to get engaged. I can give you, a very nice ring because a very nice ring at reasonable price because he dealt on his own without a store.
Uh-huh.
I mean, his prices were good
Yeah.
because he didn't have a store. So he says, well, I thought it would be a good idea to send him to take a measurement.
You didn't even ask her.
No. But of course the rings were much too small, so we
Yeah.
went to another jeweler and bought
So
the
naturally,
carat,
Yeah, show it, pick it.
the carat and a quarter, right here.
In platinum.
Then,
In platinum, of course. Well, then platinum was very inexpensive.
Now it's
And
not.
diamonds were very inexpensive. But, of course.
well, you knew the jeweler too, isn't it? Did you know him?
Oh, the
was
jeweler
it-
was a friend of my father.
That's right,
Well-
which I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know.
So you
And
had
we-
the man came over. What did you say?
I died of embarrassment, you know me. And I told him, and finally I sent him away and said, please.
Go away.
And he went away.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then we
And
went,
then-
and we
And
got-
you wanted
That-
to marry him?
It was a
I
faux,
didn't
a faux
know.
pas.
I
my
didn't One of many.
So you went, did you pick out a ring together, or? And you went,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I can't remember. you
so
know.
this was how long after you met? 6 months?
No, following year. Is it
How
6
long
months?
did
Yeah,
you-
6 months. Yes. In,
You dated 6
in
months,
August,
yeah.
yeah, because we had a party.
Yeah, there's a date in the engagement ring.
Well,
yeah,
and-
6 months, yeah. August
And
6
how long
months.
after that did you get married?
October of 1950.
Before.
Yeah, I mean, when did you get engaged?
That year.
I don't know, it's in.
Yeah, that year in 50,
Oh.
in July or August. Sure, because we had a party at your house.
Yeah,
remember?
I don't
Upstairs.
remember.
So, so Louis stuck with you, and tell us about when you were sick.
Oh, yes, I was sick, yes.
What did you have?
Was it our second day?
Yes, second day.
Our second date.
Yeah.
I didn't know his last name. I couldn't call him to tell him I was sick, and he came, and there I was with my world famous red nose, eyes watering, coughing, the works. And for 6 weeks I was sick, and for 6 weeks he visited me
Oh.
and looked at me.
And you said, well, if anybody can look at me for 6
Right,
weeks,
right.
I can live with
Sick,
them.
right, well, smashing truth.
Would you play cards, play casino when you were sick?
I was in bed. I couldn't get out of bed. I was deathly ill. Do you remember how sick you were?
Yeah.
Couldn't move? Well, that was me. With chapped lips and cold sores.
Cold
Oh,
sore.
And
no.
cold sores. I mean, to top it all off.
You couldn't kiss them.
No kissy that.
So you got married, and I have a picture. We have to show pictures. Beautiful Ruthie and handsome Louie. Well, how was it exciting going? Where did you get your wedding gown?
That was just quite a coincidence. I was working in the advertising agency in the Statler office building, and one of the girls who was the artist there went with me, and we went to Jay's, which was on Temple Place. Beautiful, beautiful store.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this absolutely gorgeous wedding gown that was a sample. And they cleaned it for me. I didn't have to take it, but it was just beautiful, so I took it. And it cost $60.
Oh God, that's beautiful.
$60. That was a lot of money then.
Yeah. You worked.
I-
Yeah, you worked for a week.
Yeah,
That
I was making
it-
$75 a week.
Yeah,
and I
so
paid
$60.
Yeah.
A working man was making
Yeah.
$60. You could
And
raise a
for-
family on $60 a
And
week.
for my going away outfit,
So,
which was
It'd be just like now,
a
the
deep
same
rose,
working man makes about 600.
almost a red
So
suit.
it's a
I went
$600 dress.
to the French shop in Feline
Equivalent.
Uh-huh.
and probably paid, well, probably about $150 for this suit.
No, really?
Oh, Jackie.
You went all out.
No, I always bought expensive things. I was buying $200 coats when I was single.
Back then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now I know where she gets it.
That's right.
Pussy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always bought
Quality.
expensive clothes.
Well, what was your wedding like? Was it a whirlwind wedding? Was it thrilling and exciting?
It was a very beautiful wedding. We had 125 people
Yeah.
because you didn't have that
Yeah.
big a family. And it
Yeah,
was at
How
the
many
Southern
ushers?
House. It was
It
at the
was,
Southern
yes,
House.
we had
There
ushers.
were
How many
4
ushers?
ushers. And Jack showed who was the best man.
Yeah.
And Phyllis was my maid of honor.
Uh-huh.
And Arthur Chapnik and your friend
Eli
Siegelman.
Siegelman
And
was an usher.
Uncle Nelson.
Yes.
And Bob.
And
Bobby.
No, Bobby was
Well, he
small. He was a small
Well, I
boy.
remember.
No, Bobby.
I remember him
And
in the
I think
car.
Sam.
No.
Sam Drevich was an usher, I think.
Or maybe we had 6. I think Bobby.
I remember
was
Bobby in a
Yes,
in
and
a
in the
hat.
suit? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he was
Yes.
yeah.
And who? Someone else.
That he was maybe a young boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And who was in? Do you have a wedding party or just had Phyllis?
No, just Phyllis. Just Phyllis.
And you get married by a rabbi?
Yes.
And do the
A
chuppah?
cantor. Yes, a
Cantor.
cantor. Cantor Masavetsky.
Yes.
He was in
What a
Windsor.
beautiful
Yeah,
ceremony.
yeah. It was a really nice
Yeah.
wedding, yes.
You had dinner,
Oh, yes.
Orchestra.
dancing.
Dancing, yes.
And what did you do after the wedding? Where did you go?
Parker House.
For
Right.
that night?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, the Parker
Yeah.
House.
And did you go on a honeymoon?
Yes, to
the
New
next day,
York.
Yeah, from
To New
the
York.
next day. Yeah.
New York City
And we
or?
saw New York City, and we saw Victor Borg.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Victor Borg.
And wait, the name of the hotel. Still there.
How many days did you go for? You go a week?
What did
We
you
took
have?
a
You had
week
the
off.
Plymouth, that old?
Yeah, the old Plymouth, right? Yeah. We saw Victor Borg. We came late. He asked us, "Thanks for coming," whatever something he said.
Oh, yeah.
We come late. As well as the traffic.
And I didn't like New York City, though. It was my second time there. I had passed through. No, I had gone once with friends. I didn't like New York City.
Well, Phyllis was there at the time.
No.
I thought they were. No.
I think Phyllis was still taking one of her many courses. She wasn't married, probably at Columbia University or wherever taking these courses.
What did your family think of Louis and vice versa when they first met him?
Oh, it was good. My mother always loved him, and my grandmother. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Always loved
He always called Nana, mother, no, what did you call her, Ma?
She always liked him
Ma.
better than me.
No.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got. I would say we got along very well. You know, sometimes you have jokes on mother-in-law.
Yeah.
But this mother-in-law was like a mother to me. I must say.
What about Jane? What did she say when Louis brought you home?
She called me Mademoiselle. Nice to meet you, Mademoiselle. As he took me to the movies and took his mother along.
No,
to see
really?
a French movie. And then had to go home early one night because his mother had a backache and he had to rub her back. Ligaments. I mean, this was a real romantic.
Well, did she like you? Or did you?
I don't know. Did your mother like you?
Yeah, she liked. I mean, my mother never could demonstrate affection, as you can,
Yeah.
you can tell. So this your wife, she was fun,
Did she have you over to dinner? Did you have to go over to dinner there?
once I think.
So you came back from your honeymoon, and where did you live?
We lived on Washington Avenue in the back of Dr. Paris's house, a little apartment.
In
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
And
It was nice. It was nice. Yeah, beautiful
Beautiful
apartment.
little apartment.
Yeah.
And there was a door that went from our bedroom into his office, into the waiting room. You could hear the babies crying. He was a pediatrician. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you never heard anything at night because unless it was a very sick baby. So this was very nice.
Yeah.
Nice apartment. You don't remember it because
Well, I remember the
you were
office.
9 months. How could you? You
I
yeah, you
remember the
remember the
office.
office,
Yeah,
but you don't
I've
remember
never
living
been.
there because
I
you were
remember
9
seeing
months.
the door
You were 9 months old
in
when
the
we
hallway
moved.
where they used to have the bench out
Yeah,
there,
and I used to tell you that's where we
and the
lived.
staircase, the
Yeah.
long wind, the staircase
Yeah.
going upstairs. and his wife coming down. But so you lived there, and then when was Susie born?
She was born,
1955.
yeah, December 16th.
1955.
Was that 9 months after you got married?
Yes, dear, we were married October 31st, 1954.
So were you still working up until?
Yes, up until Susie was born, I worked.
Same job at the ad agency?
Where did you deliver her? Where was she born?
The Boston,
Lying in.
no.
Lying in. Yeah, the Boston lying in.
the Richardson House.
Oh, Richardson House.
As the, yeah, you have to say the Richardson House,
Oh.
because the lying in
It's now.
was the whole hospital.
Oh.
But the Richardson House was
Wasn't
where the private patients went.
And so, did you have natural childbirth?
Of course not. I went in and I was knocked out and I didn't know anything till they woke me up to tell me I had
A girl.
a
And
girl.
how did you feel, Louis, when you had a girl? Did you want a boy?
No, he didn't
No.
care with Susie, but then someone else he did
Uh.
feel.
Susie was born, and then Jackie was
3 years
3
later.
years later.
You still living in the same place?
Yes.
Still
Still
living in
in
the
the
same
same
3-room apartment. And then we moved to the first floor of Nana's house.
Soon
And
after?
Jackie was, when you were 9 months old. Because Susie was sleeping in a hall. It was a rather large hall as you walked in, and she had her bed there. And Jackie was in a crib in our very tremendous bedroom, but there
Ah.
really was
Oh,
no
yes.
room. They were very
Bedroom.
large rooms. They were beautiful. It was really
Twice
nice.
this size here.
Really?
Oh, yes. And there was
Nice
room for
kitchen
our
and
bed.
a
Yeah.
pantry where the things was. It was really a nice house.
Well, what was Susie like when she was a baby? And a little
Susie
girl?
was a very happy baby. We would wake Susie up when she was 6 months old, 8 months, 9 months. We would wake her up to show her to people, and she would play and laugh and sing, and then go back to sleep. She was really a
Yeah,
very,
easy,
very,
yeah. Contented.
very
Yeah.
good baby.
Opposed to me. What
Uh,
was I like?
You cried a lot.
Jackie cried a lot.
You cried a lot. I think mainly because Susie would get a virus and be sick, and you would get it. Then I would get it, and it would go through us.
Yeah.
And you were
It was
rather, yeah, you were
constantly, was
sick
it?
a lot
Yeah.
because of that. So I think that perhaps made you a little cranky, but I always insisted it was because you were bored and had nothing to do.
You know,
And
that's-
once, right,
that's
and
true,
once
yeah.
you had a friend, Susan Schultz, you were a whole different child. You never cried anymore. You were always very, very quiet and shy. But you would play with Susan and
Did
Yeah.
Susie
Very,
play with
very
me when I was
happy.
little? Did Susie play with me?
yes, yes.
What I
always.
remember most about on Jackie as a little child are those blocks.
Yes, oh, yes.
Jackie had
Yes,
a,
Helen
had a
Ellis
box,
gave you
yeah,
a box
of
That
blocks.
her children had
And
had.
Jackie used to construct edifice, buildings,
Yes.
was so creative. I thought
Yes.
of blocks and bridges, you know.
They weren't big little alphabet blocks,
Yeah,
they were
the big one,
all
yeah,
big.
yeah, quite, yeah, it's about the
All
three
cut out-
long,
cut out wooden
out, yes,
blocks.
wooden
Brown,
blocks.
Of
And
different
you,
shapes.
and you used to,
You used to be amazed at what she
yes,
could make.
yeah, always amazed.
Big
You
castles
used, yeah,
and,
used to
and,
make,
and
yes.
fences.
Where Susie, she played and she put, it was not just make simple. You were making actually complicated edifices, you know, building. I was always mention that. Oh, amazed I was
Yes,
what
yes.
you were
and
doing
this
with
is
those
when you
blocks.
were happy, when you
Yes.
were when you were
Create,
old enough
yeah,
to
and
be
doing
able
things.
to walk
yeah.
around and do things. Yes. Then you were happy.
And how many times I used to play, you know, all day. And then come in the house, nothing to do. I have nothing to do, to say that. Nothing to do. All children do that. No. After playing the whole day,
For one.
there's nothing to do.
Do we have any stories about Susie, a funny story, or think of anything that she did that was
No, but she
remarkable?
was very beautiful, and people used to stop and look at her.
Really?
Yes. And when you were 2.5 years old, you changed into this raving beauty. You were so beautiful. Yes, that people would look at you also.
Oh yeah.
But she was beautiful from the minute she was born. She was a very pretty child.
Yeah, but I think they growing up were just just
Yes.
even.
Yes.
There was no ups
yes.
and downs.
Yes, and Susie would be the organizer of
Yeah.
all this play, and you would play Beline's basement. Susie would take all my clothes and bring them into the living room, and you girls would get everything ready. And you were just you were small kids. And Susie would come in and announce, the basement is open. And all the neighborhood kids would come and pretend they were buying things down Beline's basement.
That's the kind of stuff we used to play.
Oh, always school. Always
Yes,
school
yeah.
with Susie, the school
Yeah.
teacher, or Stevie Totes, the school teacher. Yeah, always played that. Nothing outdoors.
Uh-huh.
No.
You kids
no.
played with dolls, Barbie
Yes.
dolls, all your dolls.
Yeah.
But you were not athletic, and neither was Susie.
Susie, yeah.
But Susie went to dancing school, and I would take you along, and you would be very restless, so I would take a whole suitcase full of food for you. That was the only thing that kept you quiet for 1 whole hour. And then when you were old enough, you took dancing lessons also. Do you
Were we
remember?
good?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, you had good
yes,
rhythm.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Susan
No,
Toll
sir.
couldn't dance for anything. Debbie Wade couldn't dance.
Yeah.
But Susie was excellent, and then when you started,
Yes.
you were very good.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I took you to Malden
Mm-hmm.
to
For ballet, yeah.
to
Williams.
Miss Williams, who
Yes.
ran the Boston Ballet. And every Saturday, we took the bus in Chelsea. The bus then came right to Malden.
And every
we-
Saturday we had a ice cream
Cream
sundae
sundae
at
at Frigo's.
Frigo's, butter vanilla with butterscotch.
Yeah, always. Yeah, because I didn't drive, so we took the bus.
Did we play dress up a lot? Me and Susie?
Always, always.
You never always dress up.
Always dressed up, yes.
So what was it like living, you lived in the same place, right, there in Chelsea with your mother, right?
Well, she lived upstairs.
Right.
She lived
Yeah.
upstairs.
I would say it was quite pleasant.
Well, it was very,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
it was.
very convenient.
Very, very convenient, because I
Convenient.
had a grandmother upstairs.
Yes.
When Susie was born, every day I put Susie in the carriage, and I walked from my apartment on Washington Avenue down to Sharman Street. A
Keep
good
it down,
mile
yeah.
and a half.
Yeah.
And every day I went to visit my grandmother. Every day, except on Sunday. On Sunday I didn't.
Yeah,
And
because your
this
mother
is-
was home. Yeah.
No, my mother, yeah, because she was home
Yeah,
on Sunday, but just to make sure everything was all right. So it was so convenient when I moved downstairs in my mother's house, because I could keep tabs on my grandmother.
When did your grandmother die?
I'm very poor with years. I don't know, she was 91 years old. Yeah, well, you don't remember her too much.
No.
But Susie does.
She was alive when I was born?
Oh, yes.
But Susie really, because, well, I would say that soon after
Yeah.
we Jackie,
Or,
yeah,
yeah,
maybe,
a year or two
yeah,
after,
maybe
yes.
about yeah, she went into the nursing home.
And in that, yeah.
Oh, what kind of vacations do we used to go on?
We used to go down the Cape with Aunt Millie and Uncle George.
Right.
One time we went to Connecticut.
Yes, all 1 year, we
Yeah,
went to Connecticut, yes.
and a lot of time, but mostly we would
We
go.
go to New Hampshire once, or Maine, or
We
No.
went to Kennebunkport, Maine once,
Yeah.
and the water was very cold,
Cold,
and nobody would go
yeah.
in the water.
Was this vacation or just a day trip?
No, this was vacation. We went for a few days. And then we went, but we would go down the Cape. In the Falmouth section, we would go to Old Silver Beach because the water was nice and warm down there. Do you remember those vacations?
well, was that with the windmill, the restaurant with
yes,
the windmill, and we got
absolutely.
Shirley Temple?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and there was one restaurant that was shaped like a geodesic dome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
that's where I
yes,
got the Shirley Temple. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, so that's what we used to do
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
summers.
Yeah, because I had a 1 week vacation while working. It was my only vacation. It was in the summer.
Yes, and most
July.
years we would plan a vacation and one of the children had a virus, so we didn't go. Yeah.
When did you break off and start your own, go out on your own business move?
The way I went into business was
You-
it wasn't a sudden decision.
You did work in the
it's-
basement
I-
of the,
No, it started many years ago with first with my sister kitchen set. I recovered my sister's kitchen set. After doing that, a friend's kitchen set, and after that, another friend's kitchen set, and after that, a chair. Somehow it just mushroomed from one to the other, and I had no shop because I was working.
Oh, you worked in the
someplace else.
playroom, in our
And
playroom.
I worked in a playroom. I used to
That's
take
right,
one
we had a
chair,
playroom.
one chair at a time. I used to
Where?
go to work.
In Chelsea?
Yeah,
Street?
you know,
Yes.
what should have been the
I had-
dining room, we had as a
The
playroom.
Yeah,
playroom,
yeah.
the playroom. I set up a pair of horses. I had a chair. I had a sewing machine in the cellar,
Oh.
and that's how this was like at that time. I had no idea of going in business myself because I had a very good job, and this was like a supplement.
Yeah.
A supplement of my wages. But while I worked, then my last job, I was working in Lowell, which was 30 miles away from Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember, you used to hate every minute
Every
of it.
minute of
What
it.
kind of car did you have?
A 1954 Chevy. Remember
That was
the
a
green
nice
Chevy?
car. That-
Yes. That was the best car we ever had.
Yes, that was the best car they ever made.
Never made. It was so. It's similar to Isabel's. Do you know Isabel's car? No, I don't know if you ever seen her
No.
big car. Similar to that car. Comfortable.
Nothing
Well,
ever
the key
went wrong with it.
just went. That car just went for over 95,000 miles.
Uh-huh.
Nothing ever
Did
went
it
wrong with
die?
it. It died in
It-
Lowell.
Did
with
it
construct-
died in Lowell?
In Lowell, yes.
Which car died in Gloucester?
Oh, there was a Plymouth. I had a vapor lock.
Oh.
It was the blessing of the fleet.
Yeah, we got into the
Yeah, we
blessing
got
of
into the
fleet.
blessing of the fleet. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma was
Yeah.
with us. Oh, that was really great. I don't think you were around.
No.
No,
So-
you weren't.
So going back to my business, I worked in Lowell, and actually working for customers, I always said, well, I only can make a chair. I have no room for a sofa. So I had to refuse doing sofas. Only could make chairs. Because I don't have room for chairs.
Yeah.
So while working in Lowell, the boss's son, always remember that day, he says, Louis, I was the cutter. He says, can't you cut a little faster? Because some stitches were standing idle. It was summertime, business was slow, and they were standing idle. And he says, Louis, can't you cut a little faster? And that got me so mad. I said, not only I won't cut faster, I'm giving you notice. So he got all upset, blah, 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 and that made my decision. Because I know I had in the back of my mind, I had work, I could get work, and I had no place, and this would be a good time for me to do something. So that, as we say, that the straw that broke the camel's back, that did it. And I gave him notice, and I left, and this 1962, I opened a store in Everett.
Louis Chapnik?
Louis Chapnik Upholstery, 1962. Huh? And then it's been going great ever since.
All Natalie's and Edith's friends called
Oh
you.
yes, and
Yes.
then yeah.
That's how it's
Word.
really.
And
that's
then
how
word
Right.
to mouth, yes, yeah,
how
word
really
to
is.
mouth. Also, Julie, our good friend, who owned a furniture store, referred a lot of his clients to me. I used to do his complaint many times. A piece of furniture has a little defect, had to be fixed. So he used to give me the address. I used to go in the house, fix the new piece of furniture, and sometimes I used to talk and say, oh, I happen to have a kitchen set or another chair while I'm here. And that gave me a job. And one to the other, to the other, to the other, became Chapnik Upholstering and Interior.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
The religious upbringing of you girls.
Oh.
Were we
It was
very
Hebrew
religious?
school. No, it was Hebrew school, and finally, that was the end of it.
When did
Neither of
Susie
you-
stop?
Susie was a little more into it than you. I took you out because I had to go into Hebrew school to take you to the doctor's. I think you had an appointment. And you were sitting there with a migraine headache. And the doctor decided that youngsters shouldn't get migraine headaches, and because you were so intense about doing everything well.
Even then I was?
Even, oh, you were
Oh, yes.
just, yes, when you were in the kindergarten, the teacher had to tell me that if you made a mistake, you would cover the paper like this. If you knew it was a mistake and you would not let her see it. You were such a perfectionist. And the doctor and I decided that you were better off playing after regular school instead of sitting in Hebrew school, which you didn't like at all. And I mean, one
Well, I
school
think it was a
to
combination.
another
Maybe it was
school.
also the teacher. Remember, the
Yeah.
teacher was
Yeah.
not the
Yes,
the woman
and
there.
you were very
she
was
happy.
not- yes.
Right. And once
Yeah.
you left
My headaches
Hebrew
go
school.
away?
Yes, yes, you were, yes.
It's convenient.
No, you actually did have headaches.
Did I?
Yeah, yeah. You would get so pale. And we just
Thank you.
Oh, yes, and you would sit in the house and tears would run down your cheeks because you had plugged up
Tear duct.
tear ducts
Oh, yeah.
from the herpes that you had had about 2 years, when you were about 10 years old.
Uh-huh.
And the herpes were in your eyes, and you had cornea problems also. And tears, you would just sit there and tears would roll down your cheeks, and you would say, but Mom, my tears are falling.
Oh, people, this is why you crying. I'm not crying. I'm not crying. My
Yeah.
tears are falling.
And you were really much happier then you could play with certain friends, with, Susie, with,
That's how she went to Dr. Crot. Huh?
yes.
Yeah.
Did that bother you, that pulling Jackie out of Hebrew school?
No.
Didn't upset you, or bother you, Louis?
internally, I wish they had gone, but it's one of those things you can't force. Well,
You were happier going to the
Yes.
Y and,
Yes.
doing crafts and things like that.
yeah.
Did you ever wish one of your daughters would have had a bas mitzvah? Or
They didn't have them.
Not back
They
then.
don't. Don't
Well,
no.
yeah. All
They
Susie's
did?
friends were bar mitzvahs.
Were
Those
they?
years?
Yeah.
Oh, she just didn't want to. Susie never did anything she wanted. If she didn't want to do it, she didn't do it. As easygoing as Susie is, if Susie won't do it, Susie won't do it. And that's it.
She always been that way?
Always, since she was a little one. Yes. You, I could talk to and explain things. And
Change your mind.
back
All
and forth.
right, yes.
Perhaps you would change your mind, perhaps you wouldn't, but Susie wouldn't even live.
Did we ever run away from home?
Never.
Oh, no.
Both were very at home. Very happy. And then the boys started to come for Susie. Every boy in Susie's class was in love with her and hung out on the porch. And then all the boys came for Jackie and hung out on the porches. And all I ever saw were boys and boys and boys. Really? Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, Jackie's first boyfriend was Arnold Cantor, who fell in love with Jackie when she was 11, and she was sitting on the beach, and he thought she was the most magnificent girl, and he was the most gorgeous boy with blonde hair. He was
Blue-eyed.
Yes,
He
Muscles.
was handsome.
yes, he was handsome.
And then after Arnold, there was one handsome boy after another.
Well, we're going to sum up. Let's see. Let's talk just reflecting over the years. Do you have any regrets of anything in work or where you live or anything? Of
Yes,
your-
I liked Chelsea when you kids were small and there were a lot of friends for you and there were a lot of people that I could socialize with. But after you grew up, I began to dislike Chelsea intensely and just lived there because I did not want to leave Nan.
Mhm.
And when we moved to Malden, we have been very, very happy living in this single-family
yeah.
house.
Well, mainly also
And-
that I never
and-
wanted to
and
move to the
area-
suburb.
No, but the area of Chelsea, when we first moved there, was really very nice and gradually
It was pleasant,
deteriorated
yeah,
as
yeah.
a lot of
Yeah,
neighborhoods
but
do.
yeah, when we started, that's true. It
And
was nice
friends
to walk
moved
down
away.
the street. It was near town, near Boston.
Yes,
You take
yes,
a bus.
and it was very
go
nice,
right
there were
there.
lots of people
Yeah,
there.
and
and
friends,
I had a lot of
pleasant
friends
friends,
there,
yeah.
yes, yes.
A lot of activity,
Yes, yes,
you
it
know.
was very
The
nice.
Y was very active.
Yes,
You
yes.
could go to the Y.
Yes.
So
Why did you want to live in the suburbs?
Grass and trees
I
and
grass
lawn.
and trees. I like. I'm
No
basically
land.
a city boy. A city boy. You, my own. Well, looking back is actually I'm very happy I left Mons. Mons.
You don't regret
I don't
leaving-
regret Mons.
leaving,
Huguet.
Huguet.
Well, remember we talked about names, a cycle of names?
Uh-huh.
Well, not sure. She was born also in my generation, in 1927, 28. And Huguet at that time was a raging name for movie stars.
Oh, really?
French movies. There was the star,
Ah.
the show tune, and Huguet was the new name.
Oh.
From that age, it was the 1920s. She's the 1930s, and Huguet was the name.
Oh.
Very fancy name because nobody was called Huguet. So, but coming
Regret?
back to the United States, in life, my only regret is I didn't become a famous violinist.
Oh.
This would have been my dream. Well, no, look, I'm not unhappy. I mean, I like what I do now. No, you may say, but well, it's never too late. It's not. It's not the point. The point is that I wish.
When you
It-
retire,
Yes, I
you'll
will try. Yes,
sit on your
because
porch
the,
and-
the problem is when
and-
I finished the conservatoire in Mons, there was no way of going further because I lived so far away from the next step, which
Yeah.
was Brussels, which was 35 miles away from Mons, and there was no way of me getting there for classes. But first of all, I had no money, and it would have been impossible to go back and forth. It was very, very expensive. Train cost was very expensive, and I couldn't afford. So I just stopped. But looking back, I could have been musically inclined. I would have liked to be a violinist, not a famous, but a violinist. I could have been playing, for instance, in an orchestra, a symphony orchestra, one of the violinists, the symphony orchestra. That would have been my second choice. You know what I say? I regret that I didn't become that.
And
I
you
didn't have a
regret,
chance to further my studies in violin.
I regret nothing.
well, not being interior, going interior design.
Well, that's all
No,
right.
but
I
this is
still,
one.
I
This is as we
do
go
it, though.
older.
This is something that I
yeah.
liked
Because of me, yeah, of me,
Daddy's
yeah, yeah.
business. I
You just-
saw that
yeah.
I was
Good at what?
good
Yeah,
at doing
at
this.
doing this. Yeah.
Yes. I don't regret anything.
No,
Style.
basically,
Again.
I think that we had a very good life together.
Do you?
Yeah, a few.
Oh, do you?
here and there. But no one is perfect.
Oh, I
You
am.
are perfect. I am not. I admit, I am not perfect. You are perfect. But looking back, I think we had we have a very good marriage. We had two nice children.
I beat them till
who,
they became nice.
Yeah.
Son-in-laws.
They were
Oh,
two,
definitely.
without saying.
Well, what about
Yes.
future plans? You plan to retire any place special?
I will never allow your father to retire because he will take naps all day and become fat. He must
No.
get up
I
and
do something. Yes, I must be active.
Must be
Although yes,
active,
yeah,
yeah.
I must.
And he does
But-
not have, he
Yeah.
has a type of job that if he decided to retire, he could work a few days a week just so that he doesn't hang around doing nothing.
Yeah. This is my
That-
that's my
the only
plan.
thing.
It's someday
And I
can.
plan
yeah.
to cook and clean until they carry me
You want to move
Our
anywhere?
bowl and play cards.
Do aerobic
We will be
dancing.
very senile, but we will play cards. We will bowl.
And you'll yell at Louis because he'll make
Yeah,
mistakes.
make
He will
mistakes, and I
make
forget.
mistakes, and he will forget even more as he gets older, but we will put up with it, right?
So what are your hobbies? What have your hobbies been over the years? What you like to do when you're not being a mother and not working?
I'm always being a
Bowling and
mother.
aerobic dancing and...
Yes, I like to be busy. I have my activities that I really, I like to do them.
Which are?
I bowl twice a week. I play bridge. I like to shop. I like to shop.
She likes to
But
shop.
I don't have
Yeah.
that much
Yeah, no, no.
time during the day. I'm busy all the time gardening,
The summertime.
You both
Yeah,
enjoy the theater.
fabric.
then-
Oh, and we enjoy the theater. We enjoy the concerts in the summertime.
Yeah.
We enjoy every Sunday night we go to the movies, and sometimes Friday night we go to the movies. And
Louis has
Yeah.
a passion for music and
the music, yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes, music.
And who do you listen to when you shave every day?
When I shave every day, I listen to whatever's in the tape. It's Pavarotti or Placido.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you like to move anywhere and retire or have a summer place or
Your
go
father
anywhere?
would love to live in Florida for 3 months of the winter. because he does not like the cold weather.
That's true.
And I would love to live in a fantastic house with a cathedral ceiling and all glass, right near the ocean, or right on a beach, year round, so I can see the changing weather, I can see storms.
Yeah. You know,
I would just
yes,
love
you
this,
like
and then my
that?
children would come.
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
Sounds like
you
fun.
know, I'm
And-
changing. I'm changing my mind. Where I would like to live is right in the center of Boston.
Prudential
At the
Center.
Prudential.
Really?
Yes.
Daddy always loved
I
that.
always
I
said
would love that too.
at
As,
the
as,
Prudential
as to
Center.
keep an
Yes.
apartment in town and walk to the
Yes.
theater and could go to museums.
Yes.
Where it's
Yes.
very inconvenient now. Everything, the parking is so bad and the traveling around Boston. But when you take cabs or whatever, it's all so
It's
convenient.
This
I mean,
convenient.
there's so
Yes.
much
Yeah.
in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love
in
to
town.
live right there.
Yeah,
And then
this
my
is-
gorgeous home on the beach. And then, well, that would be all I would need because I would not want
Well,
to
no,
be
no,
out
it
of
doesn't.
Boston
No, it
in
doesn't
the
have
wintertime.
to
because
own a
this
house
would
at the
be-
beach if you're wealthy
No,
enough.
no,
You
no, I
rent.
would, I like, no,
You
I
rent
want
at the
to have
beach.
this,
Well, you could always buy it and your children can live there.
all right.
At the beach?
Is
Yeah.
that for me, Dave?
Yeah. Okay.
Perhaps Newport. I'd love a little cottage. That is what I would do.
Yeah, it would be nice. But all to come back is
And I will end all of this
yes, bye.
by telling you what cousin Miriam once said, that it was so amazing that our great-grandparents and grandparents came to this country from Russia and lived in cold water flats in East Boston, and their children did pretty decently, but that the next generation all live in beautiful homes, all do well, and their children are all college graduates, and all this in how many, 4 or 5 generations, quite amazing. That the youngsters today, they don't know what poverty was, have no idea. And she said it was so amazing that from these poor people who came to this country, that everyone did well. And I believe it.
Any last words, Louis?
Last word is
You love America. God bless it. That's what you want to say.
I love my house. I love my house.
but there's also at this point here another story on how I met Ruthie.
Oh, no,
This is the
you
true
didn't.
story.
Oh.
That is the true story.
Let's
No, as I told you
This is
before,
the joke story.
this is not a joke
No,
story.
this is the truth.
This is the true
Oh,
story.
I want to hear this.
No.
Yes.
Is when I came to America
Yes,
And
and I
I-
came off the boat.
and I came off the boat,
Yeah.
There was this
there
gorgeous
was this
girl
gorgeous girl
yelling.
yelling, "Lawyer!"
Here I am.
Yeah. And I fell right into her arms, and we got married.
Oh, that's a good
Job,
joke.
job. Goodbye.
Okay, I have to sit in the middle, and we're gonna close.
How come we
And
have Susie?
oh, we don't have Susie here, but I want to say that I love you very much, and
Yes.
thank you for doing this interview.
Oh, that's all right. I think I have done so beautifully that next week it's the Phil Donahue show.
All right.
How is that? One interview with Ruth Chapnik. So much to say.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
bye.
baby.
Well, here we are with Isabel, and this is one of Ruthie's really good friends, and she knew her before she was married. So we're going to ask Isabel a few questions about Ruthie and Louie.
I just wanted to say that we were very close friends. After this interview, we might not be. Can I just tell, this is going to be very brief, but my earliest recollections of Ruth are as follows. We were both business women who went into Boston every day to work at our various jobs. And for a long time, I thought Ruth had really a full head of hair. But then I discovered that she wore earmuffs, almost the same color as her hair. So it was not part of her hair. That was the thing about her when I first met her that fascinated me. Further on in our relationship, I recall another incident that's totally different, but depicts a little bit, tells a little bit about her character. We were at a New Year's party, and I probably shouldn't tell these tales out of school, but Ruth is a very, very devoted mother, as everyone knows. And at our table there were balloons, and she had taken two to bring home to her two lovely daughters, and a man broke one, and she hit him over the head with it.
With what?
The balloon. On a serious note, Ruth and Lou are two of the nicest people that anyone would ever care to meet, and I'm very happy to be here.
Yay! Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Here we are with Ruthie's older brother, Milton Trevich. How many
Thank you.
couple years older? And he's going to tell us what Ruthie was like when she was younger, and maybe a story or two.
I'll tell you a story.
Okay, let's
When
hear
I
a
was in
story.
the Army, it was Mother's Day. I didn't want to send a telegram to my mother, so I sent it to Lucy in the office. Remember? You brought it home. And no, you got it the day before I sent it because I was overseas. No.
And what happened? And what happened?
No, I sent with the over the date line. Because you got it the day before I sent it.
Oh, no, really? Well, what was, did you play a lot with Ruthie, or did you have nothing to do with her when she was little?
We had a little fun together. She was a lovely girl. I'm proud to be your brother.
Yay!
Happy birthday.
We're going to be to Wood Island Park, remember?
Wood Island Park? Of course. Did we go to you went to Wood Island Park, Adeline.
Yes, we got pictures,
we have
of, you
pictures of you
in
in
your
Wood Island.
bathing suit.
Oh, you mean with the kids when the
No.
kids? No. When you and Milton were going together.
I don't remember.
I remember.
You saw the picture.
I saw the picture.
Adeline, baby.
A little
Yeah,
short
Adeline
outfit.
used to
Little
wear.
shorts.
I know what
Any other
I don't
stories?
remember going there though.
when he...
I don't remember.
How about the time when Lucy made us go to camp?
Oh, I know. Louis has to tell his famous story about the corn. We didn't get that. We didn't get the corn.
You never had corn.
I told the story about your bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
That I
Okay,
cried
let's hear remember the story about the corn?
Yeah.
Tell Dave the story about your corn.
You don't remember any of
I eat corn now, but it was not always so, because when I came to the United States, I didn't like corn. I never ate corn. We went in the army and we were served corn, and I didn't like corn.
Excuse me, sir, can I just
Yes.
ask you, was this when you landed here and the Indians introduced you to corn?
Yes, right, yes.
I'm sorry, go on with this.
So where was I? Oh yes, I didn't like corn. So, in the army, well, I was shipped out in the to Europe, arrived in Germany. They got us up that day at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We had breakfast. Lunch, they gave us one sandwich and one apple. That was our lunch, because we were going to be served supper on the train. So, you know, from 2 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning, you have a breakfast, and before you know it, the sandwich and the apple is gone. And yeah, we're all young and starving. We disembark, we go on the train, and I think we were fed around 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I mean, we were hungry. So finally our compartment was our turn to go to the mess hall. So what was on the menu? Meat, potatoes, and corn. And I was so hungry that I ate the corn. And I like corn ever since.
Yay! A true American!
That's the story of I like the corn. And that's true.
And that's true.
You didn't say that.
I have nothing to say.
Did you know Ruthie and Louie when they got married?
Yeah, you know
Were they a
that.
fun couple?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Were they lovey-dovey, kissy, huggy?
No,
Yes, they were.
Were they?
When you got engaged,
I never kissed.
you did. We were so shocked, but because I had fixed you up with a couple of fellas, and they told me that you were approved. That you wouldn't even kiss goodnight.
Because
All
he
right?
gave you a stomachache, I'm sure. How do you kiss on a pain stomach?
But when you two were together and you were around in the house with us or taking care, was Arthur? No, Arthur
Yes, Arthur
was born before you
married.
got married.
Yeah.
And he came over one time and you were sitting hugging and kissing
Oh.
the two of you. Yes, you did. Milton, didn't they? You don't remember nothing. Yes, they were. They were a very loving couple. Very nice.
So what happened?
They got married and they're still a loving couple.
They got
married.
And they had 2 lovely girls.
Yay.
And the 2 lovely girls are married to 2 handsome guys.
Oh.
Play the violin.
Bye.
I see you too have survived the deluge.
Yes, but not with quite the same style as you, old boy.
Well, you know what my father used to say. When you live amongst wolves, you should howl like one. Well, here's to us.
I'll drink to that. So, you joined the checker.
It's only been going for 6 months, but during that time we've got together the biggest gang of nasties you're likely to see this side of hell. I was one of the few who could read, so I've risen to my present position with meteoric speed.
And how is Moscow?
The Bolsheviks lumber from one crisis to another. We're running a book on how long they can last. The German army is within 3 hours by train, and they've installed a fearful man called Mirbach who constantly threatens to call them in. The Social Revolutionary Party, who include many of the Czechies, are about to take to the streets again to protest against the German occupation of the Ukraine. There are more and more shootings, and the whole thing could end up in a bloodbath if we're not careful. So, in answer to your question, the situation in Moscow is deteriorating.
Well, Petrograd's no better, you'll find. There's no food. They've eaten all the